beaten early. By the end of the game, he'd worn his opponent down because he just kept going to the contest. That's what I want from Charlie. At the other end of the ground, though, I'm really interested in this Collingwood defence, which we spoke about at length. Fantastic in the air, Chief. When the ball's coming in, they come off the spoil, the intercept marking. I watched them against St Kilda a couple of weeks ago. There was a tiny vulnerability when the ball hit the ground. If Frampton played that night, Moore and Howe don't like the footy on the ground. So I'll be interested to see how they go in, and if they do go in, what sort of pressure Carlton can put them under.
It's a tiny vulnerability, and you've got to put immense pressure on them, and that's the challenge that Carlton have to come up with tonight.
Roan Steele, Collingwood's third debutant of the season. He comes through the mid-season draft. A lot of talk around Casey and West Perth, but this is a Frankston YCW story. He's a product of their juniors, their under-19s and their seniors, and even when he went to Casey, he would still nick back to Frankston YCW to play a couple of games during those seasons, and they are proud as punch.
They are.
And represented in big numbers, the Stone Cats.
Yeah, there's a horde of them here tonight, as you'd expect. And I reckon it's when someone's overlooked, even at the under-18 level, by the Stingrays as he was, it's just a great story of persistence to get back here.
What's their nickname, did you call them?
The Stone Cats.
I don't reckon you and Hunter are hanging out with the Stone Cats too much.
Can you imagine the excitement in this young man right now? We heard Craig McRae talking about him, his runnings off the charts. He walks into the top team, 10 points clear on the ladder, finals beckoning, and he gets an opportunity like this.
And that is exactly what it is. It is grab your chance, because you never know what might happen between now and then, and in 12 weeks' time, he could be running out here on a big final. So it is part of the dream. I mean, they're perfectly positioned, Jared, where they can just rest a couple here, illness, sniffles, runny nose, you're out, and just build up beautifully towards his finals campaign and find out what you've got on your list. Because if Ned Long wasn't afforded the opportunity that Roan Steele has now been afforded, we wouldn't be sitting here going, he can be part of a premiership midfield.
This is the recent history. The most consequential game in a couple of decades was that round 23 game in 2022 when Jamie Elliott tipped Carlton out of the finals, having lived there all year. It's 6-1 in Craig McRae's favour with Michael Voss, and they're the 1 point, the single figure margins in that, so 1, 6 and 3, and there's a 4 there as well. So we know Collingwood have been immense in the tight ones, and they have refined that against Carlton in the tenure of these two coaches.
But the great thing is, Jared, they're all small margins. Even 28 points means you're in the game for a long time. So regardless of where they've been on the ladder, there is a competitive nature between these two clubs. We know they hate each other, and we hope that hate brings out a fierce contest tonight.
We hope so, Jason. By hell we do. Underrated, I think, is this Collingwood forward line, by the way. So they just slowly went about assembling this forward group. Mycheck's been the mainstay. They target McStay. They target Membry. Elliott goes to another level. I love what they do in this forward half. We can talk about the high-profile Dangerfields and the Jeremy Camerons of the world, but this Collingwood forward group get it done week in and week out.
So two great captains of their clubs come forwards. Is Darcy Moore, a premiership captain, the 11th for his club, and captaining for the 150th time, Patrick Cripps, behind only Stephen Kernahan and John Nichols.
Good company, isn't it, from a leadership point of view for Paddy Cripps.
Your call in the air. When you're ready, James. Tails the call. It is a head. Your call, Pat. Thanks, Pat. Thanks.
He's shouldered a lot in his time, and he's shouldering a lot at the moment. This time last year, he had 30 Brownlow votes, as it turned out, and he's had 11 coaches' votes this year. So it's been nothing like the seasons that we've expected from him. And part of that is maybe a little what's risen around him, but he hasn't hit the markers that he would dearly love to reach tonight.
And he'd be well aware of all of that. There's Darcy Moore. We've become used to his passionate conversations with his team before the opening bounces. He's really embraced everything about leadership and about the magnitude of this footy club.
Who you got for Nick Dacos, Jason? I've been having a look, and we threw it around upstairs. There's no obvious Chincotta on this side.
No.
Who have you got for him?
Well, I don't know if they'll go with a hard take. George Hewitt, we know, has done those sorts of things in the past, but maybe it's Michael Voss saying, hey, we've got our backs to the wall, let's just hunt the footy.
Can't let him off the hook.
See what we can do. But if you can't stop him, it's one thing to say you can't let him off the hook, but if you don't have a genuine tackle, what do?
He'll end up with 60.
Tom De Koning going forward as expected with the Blues for the second time this year, picking two recognised ruckmen. So Mark Pitnet will be up in the middle against Darcy Cameron.
Looks like George Hewitt is standing next to Nick Dacos.
He's got him there. Williams starts in the middle of the ground as well, which is something different. A bit of run.
The old foes, Collingwood and Carlton, Friday night at the MCG, round 17. Pies going for 8 in a row. The Blues coming off 2 horrible weeks. And Scott Pendlebury, who played his 400th late last year against the Blues, has the honour of the first possession forward. Akers able to help win it back, and then Wiedering, who was able to recover well enough to get through that game against Port. And he's out there tonight up against Mytek. Never gets sick of the sight of Scott Pendlebury winning it out of the middle with those smooth moves.
McCowan's got Jamie Elliott as the deepest defender.
Yeah, welcome back.
Good luck.
Cowan. Cameron gets to the front, just drops it at his feet. Cripps. De Koning up to meet it. Or tagged him immediately. Plays it back through Akers and then to Doherty. He had Williams over the top. It's just travelled the journey. He had an option out wide, but he goes for Curnow. Just a step on Howe was enough.
That's the first thing you want to see, is Charlie Curnow attacking the football. And finally, when he finds that yard of space, he gets a decent kick from Zach Williams. Some good play, a couple of hands, nice little chip kick from Doherty. And now Williams goes, right, there's the man. Give him a chance. Charlie now has to finish the deal.
Goalless the past 2 weeks, just 3 behinds. Last game in Adelaide. Charlie Curnow. And the crowd, the Carlton crowd at least, stays silent.
So Zach Williams started in the centre square, Jace, for that very reason. No question about it. But that's what you want to see. I mean, you need him to get to 10 of them a quarter, Charlie, and he'll take, 10 marks.
Josh Dacos taking almost 500 metres a game. He kicks it for Mytek, who stood in front of the timber and took the mark.
It's a great contested mark in front of Pitnet, in front of the ruckman, held his spot.
Long, the rookie, who has become now a mainstay in this midfield.
They're very precise by foot. They don't go overly quick by foot, this Collingwood side. They do by hand, not so much by foot.
Long up to the contest. Membry had a jump in the middle. Swatted away by Pitnet. Ground ball to be won. Williams onto it. Worried out of it by Pendlebury. Tipped it on to Cameron. Worked it out the side. Sullivan, neat hands. And here's Steele's first look. It was a good one. Elliott should have made it better. The clearing kick from Cowan. Maynard on return. Straight into the hustle and bustle of it. Nick Dacos kept it alive momentarily, but only momentarily.
Great moment for the debutant. His first touch was absolutely magnificent.
And it could have been a goal assist. I love the fact that he started on the ground in his first game. Not the sub, not starting on the bench, straight in the action.
Couldn't have kicked it to a more reliable man, really. And Jamie Elliott, the Blues fight amongst themselves. Doherty, inevitably a ball up.
I love Maynard's first contest too. 90% of the competition would have just said, oh, that's going to be a mark, but Maynard refused to concede.
Cameron the touch, but well read off the fingertips by Cripps. And that one, you would think that he coming straight back. Yep.
Back 3 metres, back 3 metres.
And his return.
Play on.
Straight down the line. Mytek. Back of all of that. Embry. Skittled it forward, McGovern back in defence and under pressure. Long from Hoskin Elliott and on return, trying to get his footing. Dacos the kick smothered. Had to be good work by Big Pitto. In goes Cameron. Dacos the second time. Gave it to Elliott. He was out. The ball was in. Now they're both out.
It's a let off for Mitch McGovern. You can't run out, just run straight over the top of the ball like that. It allowed Collingwood to keep it alive and nearly get a shot for goal. He backed it up. He backed it up with the smother right moves.
Sent 4 weeks as a forward, returning down back. It was a wonky moment to start. Doherty and Pendlebury, 2 veterans who sparred for so long.
Harry O'Farrell, the young man, in just his second game, has got Tim Membry, so that's his job.
Membry does a good job. Knocks it out to Steele, worked it around Lipinski to open space. Perfectly weighted. Hoskin Elliott couldn't hang on. Long went headlong in and held up.
Geez, that's a great tackle. That is a great tackle. Ned Long just charging, and McGovern stood up.
So he's redeemed twice over with his defensive efforts. McGovern, Petnet straight to Pendlebury out the front. Hoskin Elliott dragged off it probably even before he had it.
Go through, yep.
Tight pressure in the goal mouth. Collingwood looking for the opener. Pendlebury, clever tap, Lipinski, not quite enough on it. Oh, it wasn't dealt with convincingly. Was it dealt with at all?
They're pretty
Let's find
confident.
out.
Wiedering's confident.
I believe it's a behind. He's kept the balls touched the top of the square, please. I'll take it.
Caused some blushes if you couldn't see it. It's brushed the forearm, hasn't it, of O'Farrell?
Well, they're thankful right now it's been called a behind, Jared.
Maybe off the left bicep.
Just in the nook of the elbow.
We're not overturning it, put it that way.
No, I think it's brushed the upper arm of
Probably
Harry
is good
O'Farrell.
enough in this instance.
Probably.
Review complete. Looking at this angle, we'd see the ball deviates off the left arm of the Carlton defender.
Of course it does.
So one dodge by the Blues. There. McGovern.
Wait, play on.
Adjust the kick. It made it more aggressive. Fogarty up. Maynard, though, had his measure. Gets it in quickly and effectively. What a pick-up by Myercheck. Didn't break stride. Kicked it to his great mate, Will Hoskin Elliott, who's within striking range.
This is a team whose forward half intercept work is as good as any team in the competition, and that's why they went long down the middle to try and, I reckon, break it up. But Maynard's too good, so he intercepts it inside their forward half again, and then Myercheck's pick-up and kick is as good as you will ever see.
The unobtrusive Will Hoskin Elliott. Pretty good for a goal most weeks. He's good for one now.
Yeah, unfortunately that just emphasises the miss of Charlie Kerner at the other end, doesn't it? From a set shot directly in front. That's a tougher one on a slight angle from out on 50. I actually didn't mind the kick-in, Gas. It's aggressive. They took a risk. But Lockie Fogarty's not the target that he should be going for with that sort of kick. It's got to be a designated marking target.
Yeah, the pickup, you're right, you're 100% right. I think the idea is right. Let's not muck around against the forward half intercept team who sweat on turnover. Let's get it deep. But when you get a pickup like that from Brody Myercheck,
And the
6'5", and then they put it down your throat, that is premiership football right there.
Carlton have got Moyer at the centre bounce alongside Pendlebury. He's cut his teeth as a forward. He's in the midfield now. Pendlebury on the far side. So Mitchell's got it. Tosses it up inside 50. Warm applause from Magpie fans for his return. Steele's been busy early. Elliott, the opportunist! He might have dropped the chest mark, but he's pounced on half an opportunity. The Pies have two, the Blues have worries.
Well, it was Ryan Steele that hit him with a short pass that he dropped early on in the game. And it was Ryan Steele again getting involved. He's had a couple of important touches. Now, he doesn't get a stat for this, but he's the one crumbing the pack and actually gets the ball forward that then puts it out in front of Jamie Elliott. So you'll see him here. He gets the hands up, has a couple of goes at it, taps it forward, and then it lands at the feet of Jamie Elliott, and that's just making the most of a half opportunity. That's clever.
How good to see Tommy Mitchell back in the middle doing what Tommy Mitchell's done for a long time, winning centre clearance, contested possession. I've loved the way they've gone at it here, Collingwood. 12-3 from a contested ball point of view early in the piece.
He's getting closer to a PB, Jamie Elliott. Only goalless game this year was against Carlton last time. He's got one on the board early. The Blues' response has to be swift. And the captain will know that. Plants his foot. Gets it deep towards Curnow, but Moore is ready. Quite comfortable. Off to Nick Dacos.
Well, they ultimately got a good clearance, the Blues, but the final kick from Paddy Cripps just wasn't to the advantage of any of the forwards, unfortunately.
It's a low kick. It gave Haynes a good look at it, but the numbers are all Collingwood. Mitchell sweeping through with a handball. Hoskin Elliott. That was a substantial obstacle. Back to McGovern. A bit of run. Let's see if the kicking is up to it. It is this time. To Cripps. They're inside again. Mott will have first play. On the bounce. Takes it. Is he ridden into the ground or not? Umpire says no.
It's another one, though. Kick inside 50. Both players are running back towards goal. Someone's got to come back up at the ball carrier.
Michael Voss sitting in the aisle is an unusual choice. Markov wriggles out of a tight space, clears the defensive area. Membry's got to go against a couple, at least made the contest. O'Farrell for the Blues, though. Now working around in close confines. Holland set Haynes the task. He was up to it. Curnow and Moore. Moore removed Curnow. Got the all clear. Cameron hasn't removed the footy just yet. Houston and Markov out of a tight space. That's always the risky kick. Doherty handled it well. Hollands, Akers couldn't get his kick away. Can Cripps? He's got time to have a look. He screwed it back inboard. Fantasia couldn't handle it. Perryman, hack clearance again. So entry after entry for the Blues. Cripps can't quite get onto it. They do have numbers there, though. Akers sets it up. Lord had a jump. Fogarty knocked it on. Dacos there to clear. Chris worked it on. Pendlebury and Perryman just so short. Here's Roan.
He's got it on the wing. Still with a one bounce and then a guiding kick. Again, he tries his luck with Elliott, but this time it's a mismatch and Wiedering steps in. Oh boy, the Blues really had to do better at the other end, didn't they? They had so many chances.
Opportunities, and you don't get too many of them against this defence.
18th for scores per inside 50, and you're getting a bit of a look at why.
Lee Hollands to the outer side to Motlop. Clear path is there for Akers, and then Moyer, who's along the line. He could go deeper than Lord, but it's Curnow that comes out, that tracks the footy. We know his mode. He rolls and he blasts.
He had Tom DeConey on the best lead that Carlton have had since Jezelenko was playing.
But how often do you see Charlie Curnow get the ball and just wheel from 55, kick off a couple of steps around the corner because he's a booming kick, but he doesn't take the time to evaluate what's ahead of him.
That's what the home fans needed. The Carlton fans who have got the stomach for it all. Steele's been prolific early. He's turned this over. Hewitt to Koning, brings it inboard. Hollands hit quickly. Houston jarred it clear. It gave the Pies a fresh look, although DeConing had other ideas. Mitchell, back where you expect him to be, all around the ball at the moment. Perryman's kicks a poor one, and Haynes, one of the elite interceptors of the competition, spreads it out to Lord, who can break and have a look. Can he find the target? He set it up high. Spell made on Fogarty. Hewitt coming through. All trapped underneath. And it won't come out.
And again, it's 7 entries for the Blues for 2 behinds. 4 for the Pies for their 2 goals won. To Koning. Williams got his footing for what was a terrific snap. Someone had to step forward. And that someone was Zach Williams, who really probably has looked their most dangerous forward when he's been fit, of the small variety this year.
He's looked their most dangerous midfielder as well tonight. He started the very first opening bounce inside the middle, put that one down the throat of Charlie Curnow. Charlie should have converted and didn't, and now has kicked the goal from a forward 50 stoppage. So he's had a terrific start to this game. They had to get some reward, Jace. The ball's starting to, it's living in their half. We know contest is not a problem. We know that they'll put their head in a hole, but they've got to get reward for the effort, and it's finally come.
It took something pretty special to get it to happen, didn't it? And he was the one, you mentioned him starting in the middle tonight. He showed a bit in the second half last week when he went in the middle of the ground. Showed a bit of desire to win the ball, and it's carried on into this week. So they get the goal that they desperately deserve, the Blues.
2 goals to 1, Collingwood's favour early going. DeConing put it out in front of Moyer. He worked it away. Shearer's kick inside 50. DeConing coming out hard. Darcy right with him. Hollands underneath. Lord found a laneway. Sets it up. Moyer got back. Markov the spoil. Pendlebury the tidy up. He bumbles it out past Hoskin Elliott. So Cowan gets access. It took a wicked bounce. kept his head about him, touched on the way through, so no mark for Mitchell. Quick release. Moore shot it over the top. Perryman worried out of it by Hewitt. Gives the Blues a fresh look. He ran into Pendlebury though. Josh Dacos kept it going. Sheriff forging the other way. Cowan, so in close confines the Blues have held up, and Lord finds Curnow for a rush of blood. The smother ladder with Fogarty. Back to Curnow. Chips it over the top. It's a judicious choice. And a free kick will go the way of Williams for the front-on contact.
Well, in the end it works out okay. So it's all a bit messy. Another inside 50 chance to get smothered. The ball fortuitously bounces out into the hands of Charlie, and rather than take the shot, he selflessly kicked it to Zach Williams, who should put their second and his second on the board. They've had a good period, Carlton, the last 2 or 3 minutes. Now they need the reward.
Curnow started with 2 behinds. Can Zach Williams start with 2 goals? To give the Carlton psyche a real lift. Williams puts them in front.
Well, Zach Williams is the one that's given them the start now, the Blues. And it was a clear free kick. You can see Markov chops the arm. There's no arguing there. He was lucky to get a second opportunity, Charlie Curnow, so he gets the quick kick forward, then has his kick smothered, but as you said, Gaz, it landed fortuitously. He gets the hand pass back, and then I thought he'd have a shot for goal, but he'd seen that Zach Williams had pushed forward, so it probably was a pretty good kick in the end, and they find a position where you should be finishing, and Zach Williams does just that.
No, it was a good kick. When Charlie Curnow at his best is kicking that goal, they get it in the end, so let's not be too critical. Patrick Cripps is busy. Curnow's got himself involved. Williams is having an impact. Carlton are in front.
And that's 16 goals for the season for Zach Williams. Out of a myriad of positions, but he has been effective as a small forward. They are crying out for more in that regard, Carlton. So they've steadied. They should have the edge in the ruck here. Williams back in the middle, and it's stripped off by McStay, who is the backup ruck for the Pies. Cowan worked underneath it. Sullivan enters. There's O'Farrell. He hesitated, and he lost the football. Just his second game. Referred to Lewis Young tonight in defence, replacing the injured Silvani. Membry, the tackler, and will have the shot.
Yeah, you called it well, Hunter. Hesitated, and you'll find out very early on in your career that you just don't have time to turn and make decisions down back. You've got to act instinctively. He wasn't able to do that. I thought Zach Williams was stiff not to get a free kick middle of the ground. Tommy Williams had
Tommy Mitchell
had a great tug of the jumper.
Tim Membry, 20 goals, 10 in his 14 games for the season. 2 goals in each of the past 2 weeks. So 9th time in his career he's reached 20 goals, and he's not going to stop anytime soon. Membry answers the call as the Magpies re-establish a lead of 5 points.
We might get a look at that non-free kick. I'm with you, Jace. Tommy Mitchell got a big piece to the back of Zach Williams' jumper at the centre bounce. It's a goal from centre bounce, so they might be a bit unlucky. But there's no problem here. Their young O'Farrell will learn. In fact, it was I thought, what a great pickup. A big one-handed pickup here. And as he went back into traffic. But you want to play in this Collingwood forward line.
Yeah, you got to tackle, haven't you?
You've got to do this. And that's what Timmy Membry's done, and he's got the ultimate reward. And it's full of tacklers down there. They love it. McStay loves it. Now, Nick Dacos has gone to the goal square, so he's playing out a full forward, and Haynes is picking him up. So they're throwing that around. George Hewitt remains in the middle of the ground, and he gets a lighter match-up. He goes to Pendlebury.
Yeah, and we don't blame the young man for that. He's going to learn as he goes along.
Collingwood by 5. First choice ruckman back in the middle to Koning, stripped of it by Cameron. Held on just a bit too long. Hot start has come off a bit. TDK brings it up to Chera. On the fly by Doherty. Has a look at the deep target. Set it up. Moyer's gone back with Howe. Howe had a good fly at it with the double-fisted spoil. Curnow's left to Crum. It's over the boundary.
And therein lies one of the problems for the Blues. If Charlie leads up, where's the long option? And in the end, they went long to Moyer, but against Howe, that's probably not where you want to be kicking the footy.
Charlie led up, and Darcy Moore just dropped off him and was opposed to Fogarty for the match-up.
Well, the ruckman could quite get to it. Yes, do it again. Bit shallow. Cameron got the 7 coaches' votes in the match-up earlier in the year, having the better of De Koning. He was pretty hot through those opening weeks. It was a good scalp to take. Cameron planted himself in front. Crisp, such ball control to open that as a possibility. Long's ball. The rookie settles himself. Follows through where he pointed. I'll need a flyer. McStay went up in front. Mitchell, clever distribution. Pendlebury, Sullivan, Perryman. What's he got? He sets it up for Hoskin Elliott, who loves the lead coming the other way. Nick Dacos got to the contest, couldn't hang on.
There was a great little hand pass from Tom Mitchell in that. It never looks clean, it looks rushed, but he just finds a way to get the ball out and keep the ball moving for Collingwood.
Magpies re-establish their forward 50 pressure game. De Koning gets it clearly, release, Cripps is hot, Nick Dacos right with him. Slew's boundary side, poke in the eye.
Yeah, a bit sore, Paddy.
Josh Dacos off the ground. He's had 4 touches. Ollie Holland's had 5. He's got a negative roll on Josh Dacos, so that's worked pretty well early in the piece for the Blues.
Yeah, Josh, a regular 30-plus man of late. Cameron on his own steam, and Nick Dacos plants himself in front and holds off Haynes.
And imagine that any coach who's got Nick Dacos in their side, it's not a sleepless matter, it's you wake up with a smile on your face, but trying to deploy him in a manner that you get maximum value from him without wanting to wear him out. And this is a genuine bona fide part of his game. I mean, you can see him doing what his old man did in the twilight of his career, speak of the devil.
Speaking of.
And
So
then he's kicked 90
the only
on
thing
it.
he hasn't quite got right is his accuracy this year. 9-13, he kicked 1-3 last week. This will test anyone from 48 metres. Just the wrong side of the post.
He can genuinely play one out in the forward half. I mean, he did again early in the year when he hurt himself and went forward and had an impact.
His lack of a contested mark had been the source of much mirth with teammates for a long time. He might get a few looks at it in that scenario. He's worn a knee in the back. Just hobbled. So Carroll held up until Nick clears the area. Up to Hollands as Carlton looked to break through the middle. Shearer has options. Doherty links it up to Hewitt. Had to get around Mitchell, only just did. Too low for Doherty to get to. Hoskin Elliott ran interference. Houston halved it with Williams. It's the heavy landing.
Interesting that the umpire stopped it. I mean, are we going to stop every single time a player gets winded or knocks himself on the ground?
Markman moved it out the side. Shearer caught by Cameron.
We had the Tristan Sherry situation where he just stayed out there. Dicky.
Shearer at the source. Got some sort of kick away. De Koning could gather. Off to Hewitt, up to Motlop.
And as dinky as that looks, and probably won't make any highlight reel on the back of this game, but that is the kick. It doesn't have to be anything special or anything flash. The pickup is magnificent, but that will do. That gets you a shot at goal. 40, 30 metres out directly in front.
Little 15-metre taut floater.
That'll do.
But it hit the target, you're right. Instead of bombing away.
Has been persisted with through some pretty meagre weeks. Jesse Motlop to hit the scoreboard in this opening term. He does. Perfect execution. A little bit of gaming. It's all tied up.
Waiting for Jason here. Jason?
I don't know. They sit at home and they practice these, I suspect. But you know what? He's kicked a goal. That's the important thing. And all of a sudden, the Blues are right there with the team that's top of the tree at the moment. Another stoppage goal, so they get the ball forward. And this is the one you're talking about. I like De Koning, the way he's attacked the footy It's just a stab. He doesn't really have a good grip on the footy, but he knows where he needs to nudge the ball. And that's what we talk about, to the advantage of your teammate. Your teammate's in front, the kick lands in front. He is the best place to mark that ball.
If you want to sum up the difference between Carlton in previous weeks and what they're doing tonight, it's not that. I don't know what that is. But it is that actual kick. More of it from the Blues.
Here's another whose kicking's been a bit wonky of late, so that'll settle things. Out of the middle, fight between Pitnet and Long was a matter of how far they could go there.
Well umpired too. He led with his head.
George Giddy watching on.
And we all looked at each other, and Benji picked it up for us. That was Josh. There it is. Yes.
Score's tied up. Nick Dacos flings it to the voice of his brother. Elliott came marching out. McStay on a soul in the square. And the Pies slide through another. And Michael Voss watching on from the aisle. Every time he feels the movie's looking a bit better, there's a twist that he doesn't like and doesn't see coming.
Well, go back to that stoppage in the middle of the ground. Nick Dacos goes back on ball. George Hewitt's trying to get to him, but Ned Long gets in the way and takes him off. And that gives Nick Dacos a little bit of space. He gets the clearance. They shoot the ball forward, and then it's up to the forwards. And it's McStay out the back who kicks the goal.
Just those who know these things better than us are telling us that the mop celebration is in tribute to Diogo Jota, who's the Liverpool player who lost his life in the car accident yesterday. That was one of his trademark celebrations. Pitnet with the tap. It slewed Collingwood's way for a moment. Doherty, Shearer and Hewitt. So the prime movers, Hewitt went over though. Pitnet has the chance to feed it out. Carroll needs to find a target. Fantasia was set wide for him. He was pretty eager to get it on. Doherty, Cripps is lurking out wide. Doherty's got to stay more central. See if he can slice a pass in low to Williams. Gets past. Moore averts the situation initially. Cameron and Quain Orr hasn't cleared it. Cripps gets a fresh look. Double back, clever kick, knocked away from Hollands. Williams still alive. Sets it up to the teeth of goal. Lord, De Koning scored his own man. He wasn't to know. Howe and Sullivan on the mop-up as a result. And they'll find Myercheck on the way out.
Another near miss for Carlton. And the Pies on the response. Quick kick from Lipinski down the line to Elliott. Membry running hard, but he's been paid the mark, even though he dropped it. He had it for long enough. He was already thinking how he would spend it.
He actually did well to delay the play, McGovern, because they were in all sorts of trouble defensively than the Blues.
So now it's a slow play. To the top of the square. It's all Carlton except for Membry. And the numbers do prevail. Carroll is a stylish kick, but he's placed to do a 1-on-2 against. Steele gets it out. Perryman and up and under. Carroll gets a free run. He went with a fist. There's some holding. That was why he got a free run.
Yeah, well, Carroll had a free run and his teammate realised and tried to hold him down while Carroll came over the top. It was Cherrill, I think. So he wraps his arms around Markov for no great reason, really. Because you got the numbers. Just a poor decision. The decision's right on the umpire. That's what they pay these days. But it was a panic from Cherrill for no reason.
So the Carlton fans are up in arms, but the Collingwood fans are going to try and will this one home. What a journey it's been for Oleg Markov. His 10th season of AFL football. Kicked a goal earlier in the year, which he celebrated so well. He just misses this.
McGovern uses Doherty. Dropped a couple of times, but he has been so wholehearted for some of the doldrums here, and he finds Wiedering coming off a rare bad one last week with that ankle injury. Haynes, the link-up run. Fantasia got it moving quickly. Moyer handled the awkward bounce. Steers it forward for Curnow. Williams is running into space. A kick comes more direct. Akers. And he turns and sets up Lord. then arrives in the nick of time.
I'm not sure that's an easier kick. He was directly in front, the same distance out. It wasn't a particularly good score up to Lord, but they've just got to get some reward now for this inside 50.
Their build-up is good though, Jace. I mean, they've taken 22 uncontested marks for the quarter to 7. They're hitting targets, and that from Curnow is so much better. He swings around onto the right boot, but then he picks someone off.
Cooper Lord kicked a critical goal in the Friday night clash with St Kilda. He's going to give this off. McGovern can taste it from long range. He hit it sweetly. It got away from him late. And off hands, it stayed in momentarily, but over she goes for a rush behind.
I think 100%, Jace. Akers should have taken the shot.
No, I had to. But the difference is the stats are all pretty similar, guys, but it's the efficiency inside 50. Collingwood are going at 70%, 7 scores from 10 inside 50s. Carlton about 14 inside 50s for just 6 scores.
Well, they are the worst team in the competition for scoring once they go inside 50.
And we see it week in, week out.
And Maynard, first game since round 11. Floats one down the line to Mychek. Gee, Farrell was up early. It was impressive looking leap, but he landed without the footy. Mychek showed him how. Down the line. And they're clever when he knew he couldn't take it. Intended destination was Sullivan. Blues get it out. Craig McRae marking the instructions from ground level. And Michael Voss watches a little uncomfortably from upstairs. The Pies by 6. Hitnet and Cameron, who got the better of it. Lord's hands were quick and crafty. They had to be. Doherty from Hewitt and then down the line. Fogarty had the arm held by Pendlebury, not spotted. Josh Dacos to Maynard to Chris. Good progression down the line. Mychek feeling for O'Farrell that time. Next off the line, Wiedering. Standing start. Can Cripps fly over the top of Cameron? No. And the big ruckman, the trusty ruckman, takes the mark. This is one of his strengths as a big man.
Set marks each thus far. Cameron sets it up high, so it'll take some marking. And Picknett obliges. Ruckman to ruck.
Yeah, he'd be dirty on himself, James Cameron. The last thing you want to do is kick it to your opposite number who's down a kick behind play.
No risks inside this last minute, though, so he'll get another look at it.
Cowan long down the line. Beautiful mark. Curnow in front. He's had some intent about him. Pumps it up. Moore tries to step around. Playing around Will Covax. All those years of experience. And he takes off. Single-figure disposals in each of the past couple of weeks. So Quain will get in a feel for it early. Spreads to Perryman. As I look down the worn wing, has Lipinski as the short. Is going to go longer and chance his arm. Elliott had a big fly from behind. Didn't quite reach the footy. Picknett pushes the other way. Akers didn't go particularly far. Collingwood make the best of the first quarter. Carlton brought the fight, but trail nonetheless.
Yeah, they did. The Blues going inside 50 on 2 more occasions, but find themselves behind. But a better start as we head into the second quarter. Don't forget Monday after round 17 is completed. Big week on AFL 360. Gary and Jace to kick things off, and it's coaches night with Dean Cox and Brad Scott and Joe Montagna and Steele Sidebottom, the guest, live in the studio on the couch.
All right, folks. Hey, welcome in Thursday night footy, and us the Magpies. Well, as just a goal in at 4-3-27, 3-3-21. The Blues. Pretty even quarter for both, but it does look like the Magpies are on tonight. They've just got to get a couple of things right going inside forward 50. That's what they need to rectify. But the Blues, well, they actually didn't play too bad in that opening term. Let's say that. Inside 50 a lot more times. As I was saying, without scoring, but that's all right. Because we're Pies. We're going for the Pies, but there we go. We're looking for a good game. But I think at some point, just looking at the opening term, I think, you know what, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I'm a Magpie supporter, but I'm sure at some point the Magpies are going to split Carlton open and put a gap on them. Who knows? Who knows? Carlton are hanging in there well, though, as I said, playing well. Hey, let's just have a little bit of a look. Let's have a look at the ladder at the moment. Actually, let's turn the live ladder off, of course. Teams playing tonight. Collingwood sitting on top, 2.5 games clear. Carlton sitting down there in 11th. Of course, 3 games out of the top 8. And of course, It's pretty much lights over for Carlton, although it's still mathematically possible. Hey, Dylan, how you going? Can you display the 7-play game? What's the 7-play game? I'm not sure what that is. There we go, centre all. If I turn the live ladder on, there we go. Collingwood will go 3.5 games on top of the ladder, clear if they end up winning tonight. Just looking at the lineups for tonight, we didn't sort of get to that. Right now, Carlton, Collingwood. That's exactly it. Oh, can you display the game? We can't show the actual vision there, Dylan, due to copyright, and YouTube will shut the live down. I've tried it once before. That's why you don't see the live vision on any YouTube channel anywhere. Yeah, unless you got sort of Foxtel or KO, something like that. Ins and outs of both teams. Let's get there. We didn't do those prior to the game. Of course, for Carlton, a lot of changes. Lachlan Cowan coming in, Ashton Moyer, Matthew Carroll, Francis Evans, Harry O'Farrell, Mark Pinetti is coming into the Carlton side tonight. Jordan Boyd, Adam Sard, Silvani, Sin Cotter, Billy Wilson and Lewis Young going out of the Carlton team. No milestone games there for Carlton, but for Collingwood, a couple of big ins here. Braden Maynard back in the team. Looks hungry as a lion out there this evening. Rowan Steele coming in. Tom Mitchell. Great to see Tom Mitchell back in. Oh, I'll tell you what, he's a star player. He'll just take a little bit of time to catch his feet again. And Will Parker coming in. Going out, Charlie Dean, Edward Allen, Charlie West, and of course still side bottom, I think has just been rest for this one. I'll have to have a look at that later. Ella Rosa, AFL Gridley, I'll have to check that later. Rowan Steele is the new player, and that is his debut game. There are your team lineups, and we'll just go and have a look at the goal scorers in just a second. All right, player stats, let's duck on over. Let me just reload this up. Get this back where it's supposed to be. Goal scorers so far, top the table, Zach Williams for Carlton with 2, and the only multiple goal scorer out on the ground so far, Jesse Motlop's got 1. They are only your 2 goal scorers there for the Blue Baggers, but for the Magpies, all singles to Tim Membry, Daniel McStay, Will Hoskin-Elliott, and of course Jamie Elliott. There are your goal scorers for quarter time. Let's have a look at the disposal magnets. Of course, Sam Doherty doing well there for the Blues. He's tops it with 10, the only one in double figures so far. 6 kicks, 4 handballs. Nick Dacos, the superstar, best for the Magpies on 8 with Darcy Cameron also 8. He's had 10 hitouts also, Darcy Cameron doing well. His brother, Josh Dacos, on 7. Charlie Curnow, well, he's been in the action a little bit more this evening, which is good to see for the Blues. 7 disposals, all kicks, 6 marks, 2 behinds. Unfortunately for the Blues, hasn't been able to put a major on the board so far. Pendlebury on 6 at quarter time. Let's just quickly roll down, and we're going to get back down to the action down on the ground. Will Hoskin-Elliott, 4 touches, 2 kicks, 2 handballs. He's kicked that 1 goal for the Magpies as we roll on down. Jesse Motlop for the Blues, just the 2 disposals, both kicks. Of course, he's kicked a goal there. Looking for a good game from Jamie Elliott, but he's been reasonably well held at the moment. Just the 2 touches, 2 kicks and a goal also. That is your player stats there at the moment. Has Tom had any possessions? Let me just try and roll down. Let's try and go down and find Tom Mitchell. Where is Tom Mitchell? My gosh, I can't. There's Tom Mitchell. Second quarter, I think he's just about underway. In a second, Tom Mitchell, there we go. He's had 5 touches in the opening quarter there, Mark. 1 kick, 4 handballs, a tackle and a clearance. So there we go. That's what Tom Mitchell's had. Apparently he's been playing reasonably well in the reserves. So, as I said, it'll take probably, a few games for him to get his feet back under him, get back to the speed of, AFL. Certainly a big jump up, reserves to the AFL, to the seniors. So it should be interesting. Hopefully he gets back into the game and, gets through it injury-free. Anyway, let's head back down to the ground for the action of the second quarter. It's the Magpies by 6 points.
Collingwood by a goal as we reach the second term. They are stretched to the back rows of the grandstand at the MCG. The drawing power of these 2 clubs, regardless of their trajectories, is something to behold. And long has been. Pendlebury straight through the stoppage. Gives the Pies first look. Membry, yes.
They kicked one goal from centre bounce in the first quarter, and just that's pure, absolutely pure. Patrick Cripps starts alongside him and just doesn't protect his left side. I don't know much about centre bounce work. That's never been my domain, but leaving Scott Pendlebury onto his left side like that with that much space. Beautiful kick.
He's played 14 of the 15 games coming here tonight for his new club. Goals in 12 of those. He already has a major tonight to make it 13. Embry just sits on it and celebrates the moment that it left his boots. It was a true strike, and Collingwood double their lead.
As the Carlton captain runs back into the middle, you have to take that personally. Like you're standing side by side with Scott Pendlebury in the centre bounce after half time, and you just get burned like that. So let's see the response. You know what Patrick Cripps is like. He will take that personally. You just palm it down there nicely, softly, Darcy Cameron, or am I giving the ruckman too much credit there, Jason?
No, he deserved it. I just love how Membry's come in and filled a hole for the Pies. They just said, look, you work hard, you present, you tackle and chase and do all those things, you'll fit in nicely. And he's been absolutely brilliant. And as we've seen a couple of times throughout his career, he's got that nice, smooth kicking style going accurate once again.
Eddie Cripps has done the right thing. He's jumped over to Tom Mitchell.
That's the best response, and that's an even better one. Clean with the hands to Williams. Put a little move on Nick Dacos. And the kick is deep enough to worry the Magpie defence. Little haphazard, which might suit the Smalls.
100%.
Evans gets ridden.
100%.
Actually, you've said before, guys, sometimes kick it in along the ground. Yep. And that was just a chaos ball, wasn't it?
And Darcy Moore is 25% less effective with that kick than the one in the air.
Cameron held to account. Williams again. Cripps forced it to the outside. Hewitt ready and waiting. Akers. And just in for a behind.
He puts the hand up to apologise. Had to square that ball up. If you haven't got time to have a quality set shot, you've got to bring it into the corridor and give your forwards a chance to go to work.
It's been a very uneven season. Akers, Josh Dacos brings it out to Chris. And quite the opposite is having a stellar season. Sullivan leads out for him. Kick mark Collingwood mode, unrushed and unfazed. Sullivan told to move things along. Up to a contest where they'll have no representation because it floats out on the floor.
He took it a bit too literally, did young Sullivan. That's the game plan for Collingwood. Our defence is to hug the boundary line. He's thinking, now what do I do here? What do I do here? Hug the boundary. Just floated over.
McGovern back whence it came. Cameron across the front, didn't quite hang on. Motlop lively underneath, squeezes a kick. Cripps, can he handle it? He can. Moyer brushed his way clear, then got caught by Howe, who was having none of it. Picknett held by the little guys.
A couple of good little moves from Moyer, those.
Yeah.
He's a stylish young man, just in his fourth game.
Yeah, as Jay said pre-game, what an opportunity for these Carlton boys here to establish themselves.
And his best VFL game for the Blues last week with 4 goals and 17 touches. Pies prevail from a stoppage again. Houston hasn't had a lot of it so far. Just his third, wobbled out to McStay. Henry and O'Farrell down the line. Wycheck being minded very closely by Wiedering. Membry is the target. Young O'Farrell didn't, well, he did enough to at least nullify. Akers was onto it quickly. Chera in a line. They handball through the middle. Motlop. The kick is awkward from Moore. Snatched back by Cameron.
It's a terrible kick from Motlop. That's the thing that's been bedeviling them all year. Is a horrible little chip kick like that. It gets turned over.
They had a couple of one-on-ones inside 50 running back to the goal square too.
Markov, careful looking kick. Got in and out of the hands of Wycheck. Back on his feet. Fine to go backwards. He's going very much forwards though. On the bounce to Pendlebury. Couldn't take it that time. Turned tackler immediately. Hitting that off to Evans, who kicks to the wing and kicks pretty well. Akers was waiting in the wings and he gets it to Curnow and works in tandem nicely. Hard lead from Williams. Good duel that with Perryman. Got him where he wanted. Gets it goal side. Williams has 2. Will he go for home? Up in the corner. Swings it in top of the square. Moyer, well done Dacos. Kept his feet and his head. At least got back on his feet. quick enough and finds Crisp.
Sullivan works for him. So Lockie Sullivan again has this kick in the defensive area. He would like to find a target safely inboard, I'm sure. But that is not to be. Keeps it in the field of play to let Membry have a leap at, and leap he does with relish.
And they'll play through Membry a fair bit here, which is it's not a nice blokes competition.
It was very unlucky. He was clearly held then, I found.
Yeah, that is right, Hutto, but he has got some superiority over him right now, so go through him at all costs.
Without much penetration, it got through Lipinski, but he had the arm chop, and Collingwood allowed the advantage. Nick Dacos is going to savour it and pump it home. Don't give the little chap space like that.
Well, it's just a class difference with ball in hand. That's what stands out between these two teams. And never more clearly than when you see someone like Nick Dacos. Even a couple of kicks coming out of defence, they looked to be under pressure, but they found their targets, they worked the ball forward, and then there was a free kick given away. Smart players know when to take advantage, and I suspect any time it's in Nick Dacos' hand is a good time to take advantage. So you see, Pitnet just can't quite get there in time to spoil. The free kick has been paid, but then get it to Nick Dacos because he can finish off a couple of steps from outside 50. They just take their opportunities. They are so good, Collingwood.
Marching out to 17 all of a sudden. And the great man, he loves each and every goal kicked by neither of his sons. Out of the middle again. He's onto the footy. Moyer tries to stop him, but he got through the tackle. Back to Cameron, who slams it forward. Haynes. Hoskin Elliott did just enough. Long pounced, kick to the square. Mychek, good wrestle with Wiedering, still alive. Young man Carroll in hand, who now has the job. He had to get rid of it. He's gone.
That is incredibly lucky.
That is an amazing decision.
It appeared he had enough time.
He was under no pressure for a long time.
Yeah.
Just got himself over the line. Just as he was tackled, Josh Dacos onto the spilled footy. Plays it up near Membry, got a little touch on it. Wiedering, sure-handed. Fantasia has a dash at half-back. Fogarty's worked forward for him. He should be pretty well set ahead of the ball, Williams. And he could poke it over the top for Evans. That will at least buy a shot at goal if there's nothing in the channel.
Now, what makes a difference, Jared, is that, we bemoaned Motlop earlier in the quarter where he turned one over at half-back. At least you complete the play here. The next phase of this will be they'll come in board a little bit more and there'll be a dangerous target in the corridor. But for now, with the issues they're having in converting opportunities going forward, you take that passage of play. Nice completion all the way down.
Third club, fourth game as a Blue. Countdown is on. He takes a step just in the nick of time. Only one goal as a Blue thus far. That was against Richmond, and so it stays. Blasts it near side.
Well, they don't get the goal that they wanted, but any time you can get the ball in defence, and it was great attack on the pill from Wiedering, who then got the hand pass out, and turn that transition into a set shot, you're doing something right.
Pies with the only 2 goals of the quarter, though. A little bit of crisp, and then on to Houston. And a slow build this time, the Pies. Nothing on in the corridor. 3-quarter kick from Houston, and Hoskin Elliott so skillfully got position. Crisp caught up with him, and now they can move forward. Still with enough pace. Akers should be able to cut across. They spoil each other again, the Blues. Good enough to win it back. Pitnet gave the hand off to Docky, trying to get through the middle. It was a no-go zone because Nick Dacos pounced. He tried to get the kick through to steal. I'm sure he identified that the youngster was there. Instead, Carroll stepped in and finds Moyer on the way out. The Blues, nothing really obvious. He's tucked the kick in pretty successfully, though, for Fogarty. Looking and hoping in the corridor. The middleman on the short was Evans to Hollands. And the left arm and fist of Howard was good enough not just for the spoil, but to set up the rebound again, and they're on the mark through Steele and Sullivan.
Sullivan up to Nick Dacos, steadies himself at halfway, brought it into Pendlebury. He is happy just to take a beat or two. Let them set, direct the traffic, play for Elliott. And waited perfectly for the veteran to mark.
Again, we see the difference in skill level and also the decision making. So they got an opportunity because there was a rare turnover from Nick Dacos, but in the end, Ollie Hollands kicks to a short 50-50, and it was just the wrong option, no matter how good the kick was going to be. And then Collingwood burn you coming back the other way.
I will give Jeremy Howe great credit for the defensive act as well. The kick wasn't what it needed to be, but he's having a year, Jeremy Howe.
As is this man, Jamie Elliott. 38 goals to his name. Looking for his second tonight. Elliott has haunted the Blues once or twice before. Couldn't make the distance here. All tied up at the top of the square. 17 points, so it has reached a tipping point for the Blues. If they can't come up with one, they are desperate not to concede. Hoskin Elliott put his head in the hole. Dispossessed. Chera dragged off it. Hollands trying to find a way through.
And look at the frenetic defence from Collingwood inside their attacking 50.
They're just going to work again, Jace. This is what they do. As the game wears on, they get more and more, as you would say, frenetic in their forward 50, and pressure just builds. Charlie had a good first quarter.
Yep, up the ground. It's his 7th mark of the night, Curnow, and they work it through Hewitt. And off to Akers. Again, the kick just a little faulty and more than a little in the end because Dacos is able to swoop and again Sullivan goes boundary. Stopped by hand. Steele takes it out.
The problem the Blues are having is Charlie works up the ground. Charlie Curnow takes the mark, hits a kick, and then there's no tools to kick to, so it's got to be a direct short pass, and they just can't hit the targets.
So they've taken one contested mark for the night versus 9 for Collingwood.
They're playing the two ruckmans, and McGavin has gone back tonight, as we know. Williams, bit of a free rein, sends it deep. Moyer and Moore, he's got no chance.
But this is another problem, right? If you've got De Koning and you've got Pitnet and you've got Charlie Curnow, one of them must be deployed as a deep get-out kick.
Pitnet's on the bench.
Well,
You've got to rest one of them forward, Gaz. You're spot on.
You can't keep doing the same thing. So they're the worst converting team inside 50, so they continue to play this same way. Push forwards and numbers up the ground and have nothing to shoot out the other way.
But again, come back to decision making. Zach Williams didn't need to kick long. He could have hand passed over the top to Fogarty, who runs all the way to 50 and can have a shot or pick an option.
And then you've got the small forward line. It's how you deliver it, isn't it? The choices you make. Mitchell.
Eye contact.
Cop one high. He'll wear any contact.
Come back on, stand.
Tom Mitchell's a fascinating watch for the rest of this year. He says he's in as good a nick as he has been physically, he thinks, in his career.
Sends it forward. He connects him with both clubs through his dad, who represented Carlton and Collingwood. Of course, his majority of his career was at Sydney. Membry fired out. Both Dacos is involved again, and the man on the end of it, running laterally.
And there's the difference, isn't it, boys? The kick going inside 50 from a Dacos on the outside of his boot hits my check on the badge.
That's it.
100% move.
When you look up, if you're a Collingwood player, you've got Elliott as a long option there, and you've got a medium option for Myercheck. You've got something to shoot at.
Is the man watching Myercheck just for now. It's a big week last week for his 150th. Well celebrated for all that he brings. He just uses the side of the post.
The other great thing about that was the craft of Myercheck to know where the ball was. He got the outside, so he had the ability to present to the footy, and he was always going to be first there.
Collingwood with the only 2 goals of this second term through 14 minutes of it. Petering is the target of the kick in from the
You called it earlier though, Gaz. I'm watching Curnow. He needs to be the guy on the wing, and he also needs to be the guy inside 50s. He's finding it really hard at the moment.
Carroll moves it quickly. Fogarty's left to wait. Houston to make the spoil. Fogarty kept his head. Cripps had coverage. Chera kicked it straight into Houston, and they'll pay a big price, you fancy. Nick Dacos to Mitchell. Swept it forward. Lipinski had a look, and he jammed it for Elliott.
Look, we probably sound like broken records, but again, they had the opportunity there. If Chera hits that little chip over to Motlop, it's Carlton going forward with options. They don't hit it. It gets intercepted, and Collingwood is so skillful, they go bang, 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 and they're having a shot for goal again.
I read during the week, in the Herald Sun, Pat Lipinski is far and away the number one inside 50 kick in the competition.
Elliott's closer than he was for this kick about 5 minutes ago. He'll make the distance. It's a question of accuracy. He needs it to work, and it works late through for a major. Elliott with 2, and suddenly Collingwood are double Carlton's score.
And that's his equal PB in his career, Jamie Elliott. This is a big call to Carlton fans, Jared. We're calling this one on radio that round 23, 2022, an absolute heartbreak it was for Carlton fans as their finals hopes were extinguished by that man, Jamie Elliott.
And they had a year off last year, but they've come back with a vengeance this year. They've lost 2 games, the first game of the year and one other to Geelong. And apart from that, they've looked at the number one team in the competition, and they're precise. Their forward half game we know is elite. They reintroduced Tom Mitchell, and this is bang for buck from Pat Lipinski going forward. And then you go back and convert in the manner that Jamie Elliott does. It all adds up.
What an achievement it is for Jamie Elliott with so many games still to go. At the age of 32 to equal his PB, and they're on the move again by Mitchell. McGovern overran it, which meant that Carroll and O'Farrell had to do a lot.
Straight up, straight up.
He'll take a draw at the stage.
He did well, the young man. Saw the ball elude Mitch McGovern, but he made sure he wrapped it up, used the body to absorb the tackle.
197 centimetres. He was their pick for Matt Kennedy on the trade, and they see him as hopefully a 10-year defender.
Well, he's playing against one of the very best. Now he rolls off my check, back onto memory. Good move. Though memory's in good nick too.
Hollands back to the weak. Quainer had pole position. He takes the mark against Evans. Well, he eased it into the middle. He gave the Blues a look. Motlop, Curnow, Doherty. Only got one teammate ahead. Can he connect out wide with Orazio? He's got it. He has to go back and have the shot. That was much better for the Blues. At least it was a good kick going forward.
Yeah, well, when you get a turnover like that, we know what the best teams are capable of doing. So well done to Motlop, who read it, saw it early, and then, you know, Doherty's in the twilight of his career, but he's always been able to do this part of the game pretty well, and that is complete the play. And Fantasia, he saw it early well. He was off on his bike. Now he's got to make sure that he takes full time.
Been back 4 games and kicked goals in 3 of them, including 2 in each of the last couple of weeks where his team haven't performed. Right now, he needs a straight kick, and so do Carlton. They're going to get back in the game in this second term, and he delivers.
Well, they're number 2 in the competition, I think, the Pies, for punishing teams off turnover. They're number 1 at defending their own turnovers. They weren't able to defend this one. Finally, it's a kick to advantage. It was a really quick rebound to an open forward 50. And even so, you can see Maynard desperately trying to cover. He nearly gets back. The kick comes infield there, and it's Motlop that comes through with the ball. Quick hand pass, so difficult to defend. And the desperation's still there, but the kick was too good. And fortunately, from a Blues perspective, finally this time, Fantasia's able to go back and kick the goal.
Blues first of this second term. The best part of 19 minutes in the making. Down by 3 goals. Cameron the tap, Cripps onto it. Shared it with Hewitt and got it back. The Blues skipper. Wonky kick coming forward. Curnow has a leap. Oh, made the spoil. Round ball. Markov got through the tight spaces. Sends it for Myercheck, who's going to have plenty of company in the air. They could do nothing about it. Myercheck plays the Pies forward, hoping for Nick Dacos out the back. It just wouldn't stay in the field
Curnow's
of
going to have to
play.
come off here, guys. He's just landed straight on that hip. He's in a fair bit of pain.
Ooh, it's a bad scene. They just rattled the bones, but
Let's hope that's all it was, Jared. Otherwise, they're in real strife.
Collingwood pushing deep. Coney, Hewitt into a dead end.
So Nick Haynes gets the unenviable task of picking up Nick Dacos when he goes forward. Wouldn't be nervous when he was one out before.
McStay trying to protect the space. Dacos lurking. Cripps keeps it away. Hasn't quite got it out. Markov. Josh ran out of space. Hewitt makes the smother.
You can understand it in the air, Jace, when it's coming in, but on the ground,
It's a tough matchup, but someone's got to do it. Nick Haynes is the man.
The oldest blue at 33. Matched up against Nick Dacos, who is the second youngest Magpie tonight at 22. Amazing. He just can't keep his feet. He battled hard. Mitchell kicked it into Carlton's advantage. Evans fired out the handball off to Williams. Upended as he kicked.
Collingwood.
Pies extra arrived and the hold was fantastic.
That's the discomfort of a mismatch in the air, isn't it?
He figured he might as well try something because he wasn't going to mark it
against Jeremy Howe.
Rockall kept his head in the game well there. It wasn't far off to an intercept, but Plater poised enough to get it along the line to steal. He floats it over the top to Plater again.
It's a big 5 minutes, Hutto. They've got themselves back. 18 points is not insurmountable. The goals are hard to come by. Can't get opened up here in this last 5 minutes.
There was a long, hard lead from Nick Dacos up on the wing to take the mark and send them. It's a rather shallow entry. Elliott didn't fly.
Back Carlton.
It's a Blues free.
Back Tom Coney.
Let's go to TDK. A wealth of options floating back across. That was the choice he made to Wiedering and then sweeping to Haynes on to Chera. One more give if he can get hold of the footy, which he does now. Had to trust the left boot. Not sure he should have. Maynard. Easy access and the Blues broke down again. Now for the punishment.
That's an awful turnover. Mitchell and Maynard will wax.
So Adam Chera, the equivalent of the other side, is like a Pendlebury, if you like, or a Nick Dacos who are delivering the footy. Him and Motlop just flipping it over. No good.
Maynard hammers it into the pockets. No distinct flies for the Pies. So they'll have Crummers. Pendlebury thought he was taken high. The umpire didn't agree.
Chera's kicking at 40%. Akers is kicking at 29%. It's just not good enough.
The butchers of Lygon Street still, Gaz.
They are, and they have been. And they've been able to fix it.
Collingwood keep the pressure on inside 50. Pitnet to relieve some of that, but he'll kick it straight to Josh Dacos. Somebody met front on, no whistle. Markov ran out of space and passed it around. Long gets it back to the teeth of goal. Pitnet dropped the mark. Lord, Chera by hand to Carroll. Kicking boards, cut off. Cameron gives the Pies another look.
It's 11 contested marks to 1.
Yeah. And as Jason said, that is by design because they've got no great aerial presence.
Blues have committed all their numbers into defence. It pays off as DeConing intercepts.
Good news for Carlton, guys. Charlie's about to come back on.
Thank you, Moons. There's 3:38 remaining.
Yep.
Haynes.
I would drag off the nearest player to him, and I don't care who it is.
He's yelling and screaming at everybody to come off, and no one is coming off for it.
Short to Evans. Just has enough on it to Hollins. Scouts out the 50. There is no target of any substance ahead. So he goes to Haynes. And a high kick is going to favour Collingwood, you would think. Craner.
There's just no one else to compete in the air, unfortunately. Charlie Kerno back on the ground now, but couldn't get down there for that kick.
Do you need to move Mitch McGovern back down forward, do you think, guys?
It's going to stretch. I would too, Moons. I think I might stretch him at the other end.
Houston to Maynard to Hoskin Elliott. Lead sits at 18. How valuable a goal would be for Carlton to give them belief, but one more for Collingwood. Hoskin Elliott falling over, but he recovers so quickly and effectively. Goes to Membry. He had the jump on Wheeling, but can't complete the mark. The veteran Blue defender did just enough. Charlie's out there bouncing around.
He's running all right because he worked all the way back down into defence. He was as deep as any defender there for the Blues. Now makes his way back up towards the wing.
I'm sorry, George.
Michael Voss has found his seat. Maybe the host, he said, you can't sit in the aisle, sir. Stay down, picked off by Chera.
Hi, Chera.
Get the free kick to relieve a little bit of the pressure. Coming off his worst game of the season last week. He wasn't alone on that front. Cowan and Wiedering combined. Doherty wanted it inboard on the 45. Wiedering prepared to play straight lines. Set Fantasia a task. Had a little bit of support from O'Farrell, but still they muck it up.
They just don't have the same composure with ball in hand, unfortunately, and it's a gaping chasm, the ability to hit targets from Collingwood's perspective down to Carlton's.
Just over 2 minutes remaining. Beautiful fine night at the MCG. Huge crowd. The oldest of foes, Crisp, snapped it off his left boot and was headed for Membry again. Carroll did really well with that lunge, and it allows a bit of dash out of defence from Cowan. Floats one more, had eyes for the footy. Williams to match. Bit of respect between the two. Both giving it all for their team. That's over and out.
Darcy, Mark, on the meter, guys.
Zach Williams, the Blues' only multiple goal kicker. Elliott and Membry have 2 for the Magpies. Still maintain an 18-point advantage. Can either break from the wing. Hewitt really blew to get coaches' votes from earlier. They met in the year, but it's the Collingwood handball chain. Pendlebury to Lipinski to the outside. Steele, can he get hold of it? He can. His wobbly little left number is picked back off by Haynes, who saw a way across the defence to Ricciera.
It's largely been a stalemate the past 5 minutes. The last of them to be negotiated. He's been troubled with hamstrings. He makes his way back tonight. Perryman clears the contest.
The Blues crowd has been out for a while. They haven't got the move going for Cowan.
Fourth season in charge for Craig McRae, as it is for Michael Voss. Pitnet hoping for Cripps, who never got access to it. Pendlebury opened up the possibilities. Hoskin Elliott trickles it forward. Haynes had it to deal with. And bunted it up over the boundary with just enough disguise.
19-7, the inside 50s in Collingwood's favour second term. That's where they've dominated. The territory now clearly in their favour. Clearances, Blues doing well. They're just not using it well enough when they get their hands on it.
Pitman worked his way to the front. Cripps this time didn't handle it. Elliott, what a gather. An instinctive shot at goal, but he's left it a little short. No Farrell camped on the last line. Quite sure the young fellow exactly what to do with it. So take the territory, kick it in long. Fantasia, Moyer, Carroll, Moyer. That's a fair mark to make a stamp.
It is, and he kicks down the line. DeConing up at the foot. He was worried by Moore's presence, and rightly so, as it turned out. Sullivan so well, so balanced, got it to Crane and to Howe. What's he doing down there? Jeremy Howe. He'd relish a thrash deep at goal. He'll take that instead. McStay. This is a body blow to the Blues just before half-time. I saw Howe go forward last year a few times. He set this one up. McStay goes around the corner to deflate Carlton right on the half-time siren. It's Collingwood by 24 points.
It's a steep learning curve for young Harry Farrell, but again we see Collingwood's ability to punish on turnover, and they're just so efficient when they go forward. They continue to kick to their teammates' advantage. So he's over the back. He wants a deep kick so he can hold his opponent underneath the footy and take the mark. Wiedering can't get there in time to help. They just do everything right. They are so polished, Collingwood, and the difference between the two skill levels is it's enormous. We're seeing it.
It's about 10 pre-seasons and the difference in that too, isn't there?
Yeah, look, and he's done a couple of really good things, young Harry O'Farrell, but it's a very steep learning curve tonight.
So half-time, and it's the Pies, 8-5-53, leading the Blues, 4-5-29, Gary Lyon.
Thank you, hello. Friday night footy on Fox. It's brought to you by Industry Super Funds. When it comes to super, there's only one symbol to look for, 24 points to margin. It's not disastrous on the scoreboard, but Collingwood, an edge in class, an edge in skill. Carlton have been willing competitors.
Yeah, they have. It was Collingwood on top, though. That quarter, they really flexed, didn't they? The pressure's been good all round, but Carlton just couldn't apply any pressure to the Pies at all, and therefore gave up a huge amount of territory in that second quarter. to be honest, probably lucky to be within 14 points, but
Yeah, I think late in the quarter they were 138, pressure Carlton, and Collingwood were able to move the ball, shift the ball. They took away Carlton's uncontested marks, which was effective for Carlton in the first quarter. And so they definitely tightened up through the middle of the field. They were able to turn the ball over, just maintain field position. Looked like they were sort of had him in a sleeper hold and they were lowering him down to the ground a little bit, but Carlton just hanging around.
They are. Yeah, they've been competitive, but there's a gap in class, and Collingwood's ability to finish, as we have a look at the Harvey Norman highlights, Geordie's been the big difference.
Yeah, I think so. I think their ability to put the first quarter behind. I mean, the messier the first quarter was, the more it looked like it favoured Carlton football side. Only the 9 uncontested marks in the first quarter for Collingwood. But once they got their game going and their ability to build the ball up when they get centre forward and then pick the right option going inside forward 50. But this was the difference in the first term. The options they got, I mean, 12 inside 50s in the first term for 4 goals 3. So, nearly every time they went in, they were able to score. They spread the load really well. They compete. I reckon they forced Carlton to really commit to the high balls inside forward 50 from the front. So those really dangerous kicks committed all the Carlton defenders, and quite often Collingwood were able to stay on the ground and impact the scoreboard from that point of view.
It wasn't until late in that second quarter when they really started owning territory, but before then they were just far more effective going inside forward 50. So we saw the finishing then, like not at goal, and being able to finish and maximise your entries, and this is what that's showing. So Collingwood above AFL average for the first half, and Carlton, which has been a big concern from throughout the whole season, well underneath.
They've got this problem at the moment where they've only got one real tall or 2 tall presents, so they can't go high in the air and they're not skillful enough to go through the middle of the ground. Yeah. And that's the conundrum they find themselves in at the moment.
The best team in the comp, Collingwood, at that, and Carlton were the worst team in the comp coming in. So that's massive difference. Obviously, that's shown up tonight.
Nick Dacos' ability to find space and convert, always a pleasure to watch.
They're always going to be a problem today for Carlton. They dropped Chincotto, didn't really have a run with player in there, but he's been magnificent. Also, Josh, beautiful kick. So you actually look at this, just comes the inboard kick, just pointing, directing, they hold. They love going there, don't they? They love going to the point of the centre square. They get all their numbers around there, they rally, and then it's this beautiful kick inside 50, and that just shows the difference in the class.
It gives you space. I mean, when you talk about if that kick goes to the boundary line, you are hampered and hemmed in by the boundary line. So that kick that's direct towards goal, one, it's offensive threatening because you can rove 360, but if the opposition were to win it, quite often you would imagine they go boundary, so you're in a really good defensive position.
There's a bit of arrogance in that kick as well. It means that our turnover defence is in great shape. We're not concerned about you coming back at us if you win it, because we still think we can win the contest there.
Just shows the difference in the 2 Dacos boys. So let's say a winger for Carlton. So Josh is clearly the best winger out there. Carlton can't match that if you compare him, say, against an Akers or someone else out there. Then Nick, I think, is clearly the best midfielder inside. Carlton can't match that. They've got Hewitt who tries his best, Cherry who tries his best. So that shows that difference, that class you speak about, Gus.
Handy to have. We spoke about Charlie Curnow a lot. Thought his first quarter was really, really good.
It was good. It was 5 marks. We saw a little bit of his kicking, obviously, at quarter time, but he's taken 7 marks across the first half and 10 disposals. And that's have a look at Curnow and Darcy Moore, top left of screen. This has been happening a lot. So Curnow's playing high up, Darcy Moore just letting him go. Howe starts on Curnow at the beginning of quarters, but then on matchups, Moore has ended up on Curnow a greater percentage of the first half, and Curnow's been able to get up and moving through the middle of the field. Darcy Moore choosing to drop off and defend the back half. So, Curnow's actually found more of the ball. He's gone inside 50 quite a bit. He's had some metres gained, but it's probably as much about what Darcy Moore is allowing him as what he's getting.
Work rate though, you're happy with the way he's going about it?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And he got upfield as well, Gaz, so 7 disposals that first quarter. There's 6 marks. Now, lucky to take 6 marks for the game all season, so great start.
Yeah, and unselfishly gave one away at the end. He wheeled around early and had that shot at goal, which was a poor decision, and then corrected with a 1 to Akers.
What it really needed, we talk about presence, Gaz. This is presence, but he had that opportunity to hit that set shot early in the game. He needed to nail that.
It's a catch-22, isn't it? Like he's been so good, and Darcy's let him go up the ground, but you missed Mackay. I mean, that second option going inside forward 50, that conduit inside forward 50 has been missed.
But that's why they've chosen the 2 ruckmen, so at least they've got a tall presence next to it. If Curnow can get up the field than a Pitnet or a Deconia there. But
That meant a lot.
no, I understand that. But we wanted to see something from Charlie Curnow. You've got to give him a pat on the back for the work rate and for how hard he's run across the ground.
No question.
And presented for his teammates.
Hasn't quite worked with the other two at the moment. Cam Mooney down the ground. We talked about Moon's ability to move the footy by foot and go short. Contested marking from a Collingwood point of view. It's been a clinic.
Look, it really has, Gaz, and just standing down here at the moment, I mean, it's so cool and calm and collected, as it should be. They're in control at the moment, but you're right, just looking at the forwards, and it's what they're doing in the air at the moment, which is so impressive. Contested marking, controlling it, as you said, 13-2 in contested marks. That's a huge number when you're absolutely dominating. It's McStay, it's Myercheck, it's the big ruckman in Darcy Cameron, it's Membry getting his hands on the ball, and it's also Quainer down back. He's got a couple as well, there's intercept marks. So they just look so strong and composed in the air. And when you when you are in trouble, Brownie, you know this, when you're in trouble and you can take a big contested mark as a forward, it just takes off so much relief from everybody around you, and it just gives everybody a nice little target. So right now, this group is completely in control up top. They're just about to head in for their meeting now. But as a forward line group, they're absolutely killing them at the moment.
Builds pressure on the opposition, doesn't it? No question about it too, but it gives you predictability, and that's the great thing about Collingwood. I think they're the most predictable team in the competition, Gaz, and that's why they're just so fluent.
More about that on the other side of the break as we go to the break. AFLW not too far away. August 14th is a season opener in Icon Park. Bree Davey stepped down today as the captain of the Collingwood.
All right, we'll get them back to the commentators when they're back. There we go. Halftime here, folks. Of course, the Magpies doing it well. 8-5-53. Carlton 4-5-29. The Blue Baggers could only manage 1 goal, 2 in that second term. But the mighty Magpies put on 4 goals, 1, kicking nice and straight in that second term. It's what we like to see. 24-point margin here at halftime. It's all happening. The Pies looking good. There we go. Tell you what, there was a little bit of a moment there with Charlie Curnow going up for a big mark. Came down hard on his hip. Went off, but certainly he came back on. Looked like he was moving all right. So that's good news for the Blue Baggers. But there we go. Pies doing it well here up until half-time. Sheila May, Chia, mega love shout out. Santa all. There we go. Welcome in. Hey, what's going on? Mark, yeah, we'll see. Check in with later. All right, Mark, we'll see you then. That's exactly right. Just checking over at the scores on the other ground. 15.5-minute mark into the first quarter over there at Optus Stadium there in Perth. And, of course, it's the Giants 4-2-26. Eagles yet to score. Come on, Eagles. I know it's going to be a big upset over there, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen, Ryan. I think, Giants looking good at the moment. We'll probably be able to cover the last quarter and a half of that game when this game finishes. Let's go and have a little bit of a look at the player stats now as we do. Goal scorers on the ground, of course. Let's go through Carlton's goal scorers. Why not first? Zach Williams still the only multiple there for Carlton with 2. Jesse Motlop has a single with Orazio Fantasia. There's your goal scorers for Carlton. For the Magpies, though, we've got 3 multiple goal scorers. Tim Membry, Daniel McStay, I tell you what, he's fantastic. Jamie Elliott getting on top in that second term with a couple also. Singles to Will Hoskin-Elliott and, of course, the star Nick Dacos. He should be piling on the stats there. We're going to have a look in a moment at the disposal getter. Of course, there we go. Speak of the superstar, he leads the way out on the ground this evening. Disposal count 16, tops the table. 10 kicks, 6 handballs, 4 marks a tackle, 3 clearances, 1 goal, 1. Looking reasonably sharp out there. No, I'm not doing the griddly at the moment. I'm still doing this, Ella Rose. I'll have to do that when I get a break. There we go. He's topping the table with 16. Blake Acres tops the table for Carlton with 15 touches, 7 kicks, 8 handballs, 3 marks, 2 tackles, 2 clearances, and are behind, of course, the brother, Josh Dacos. Probably the best brother team going around in the competition, Nick and Josh Dacos. Josh is on 14 with 8 and 6. He's had a mark. And Paddy Cripps, the other star for Carlton, on 14. So good to see him up there as well with 8 kicks, 6 handballs, 4 clearances for Paddy. All right, Scotty Pendlebury on 12, the old boy for the Magpies. He's just cruising around, directing traffic as he does. Darcy Cameron on 12. Sam Doherty, I think he was leading away at quarter time. He's on 12 at the moment, was 7 and 5. Charlie Curnow up to 10 disposals. As I said, bit of a scare there, coming down off that big mark, Ryan, but he was able to get back on the ground. So all good there for the Blue Baggers to see him back out on the ground. Of course, they'll certainly need Charlie Curnow out there firing and kicking straight if they're to have any chance in this game this evening. Brody Myercheck hasn't hit the major yet, just the one behind from his 8 disposals. Who else we got there for you to have a look at? Quaynar's doing all right. Markov doing all right there for the Pies, both on 7. Tom DeConing, who is a little bit quiet this evening, just the 7 touches, 3 kicks, 4 handballs, 6 hit-outs, and the single clearance to him. Let's keep on going down to the others. Tim Membry, 5 touches, with Daniel McStay, both 5 touches for the Pies, both 2 goals. Cooper Lord, just the 6 touches. Mitch McGovern, 6 for the Blue Baggers. And there we go. Darcy Moore, couple of nice intercept marks there. Just the 4 touches, doing his role nicely. Let's just go back up. I want to have a little bit of a look at... actually, before we go any further, I think I'll go back to the commentators.
And having Mackay, 2 of the genuine stars.
All right, let's just head back to the commentators while they're here.
The Rivalry Bucks, you know more about than any of us. The 200th game, Collingwood v Carlton for yourself.
Yeah, that was a good run. I wanted to do more Checkers highlights, but we're going to go through this one. But yeah, to play a 200th game against the old rival and to have a big win on that particular night. That's
no laughing, Darcy. One of the good going down the race there, Marcus.
No, we were laughing on the inside.
A few push-ups before you went out there. That was one of your bulky.
That's just standard, mate. Just standard. But the F-line from Carlton used to run down towards Collingwood. We never forgot that. You know, he always used to think that the Blue Bloods used to look down on the Pies. So we always used to keep an eye on that win-loss ratio over the years. And obviously in the 70s, they had the better of the Collingwood team in 70 and 79. So that's deep in the memories of most of the faithful.
Did your coaches lean into it? Back in those days, not motivation.
Not as much as Eddie Maguire did. Ed was big on it, and he wanted to build it up as big as Ben Hur. But I think you do lean into it. You do lean into the history. You do lean into what your supporter base is feeling, because it's an important part as a player to understand who you're representing and why, and take that emotion with you.
Well, and why wouldn't you? It is a massive rivalry. And again, today, Carlton can't make the finals, but massive crowd here at the MCG for Friday night footy. Hey, for industry super funds, what are you looking forward to in this second half?
Well, they've got 2 ruckmen, Carlton. No, they're pitting out in 2 DK, so they need to be able to tag team and almost bully Cameron into submission and outwear him. So Cameron's had as many hit-outs to advantage as those other 2 boys combined. So we know Cameron sets up behind the ball. He's taking some contested marks, but I think that's where they need to use more of that advantage, Jordy.
Yeah, I think they need to start taking marks. Only 2 marks between the 2 big boys. So get around the ground and really challenge Cameron offensively and be that target when Mackay's not in this side, and be aggressive in the air, I think.
And you played one way as a forward line group and you're last in the competition for converting your inside 50s. Change it up. Why don't you sit one of them in a goal square and have the get-out option and do something different? Keep doing the same thing. Keep exiting your forward 50 and keep being the worst team in the competition for converting.
Do you remember the Roosters conversation a couple of years ago? There was too many at the top of the goal square.
Now we haven't got any.
I think Carlton could do that. Yeah. Why don't you just go back to being predictable? Top of square.
One.
Well, if we're talking 13-2 contested marks, and you've brought in 2 ruckmen, there's 2 reasons. One, you've got to take on Darcy Cameron. The second is you've got to be an aerial presence down the line. So if Curnow's getting up and about, those 2 boys need to lift.
Why can't the ruckman, either be Pitnet or TDK, out of the ruck, charge forward? Charge forward, so Cameron needs to watch an opponent.
All right, look, so Myercheck, Membry take contested marks because they win the first body contest and then they stay in the contest.
We'll ponder that question. Ponder that question in the ad break. We've got to get to a break. Friday night footy, it's the Magpies by 24 points.
All right, there we go. They've just gone to a break. We're just over 3 minutes away before the bounce of the ball for the second half here at the MCG. Beautiful night here in Melbourne, of course, 8 degrees Celsius. I know she's a little bit chilly. I'll tell you what, you'll love football. You can handle a little bit of the cold. Let's head back. Let's have a look at some of the team stats. And, of course, She's pretty tight disposal count. Well, Carlton is +5 on the disposal count. 180, 175 going absolutely spot on their season average, both teams there. +14 kicks to the Maggies, +19 handballs to Carlton. Inside 50s, there we go. Carlton, who had the majority of the inside 50s in the opening term. Well, at half-time, there's just 21 inside 50s to Carlton's 9 scoring shots. Of course, the Magpies going inside 32 times in the opening half for 13 scoring shots. So disposal efficiency, well, around the ground, Carlton leading the way there. 72.8 to 70.3. Pies need to lift that. Efficiency inside 50. Both teams reasonably similar. Not many free kicks being given in the game this evening. Look, the umpires, you know, it's sometimes you're better off just to let the play roll on than give ticky-touch-free kicks, which really in no one's favour, apart from the team getting it. So I do like the way the umpires are just letting a little bit of the play go. That being said, it's all been played reasonably good this evening. Not many free kicks really there to be awarded. Maybe one just on the goal line to the Pies, where the Carlton player had plenty of time, dropped the ball, but they called it a behind. Instead, the hit-outs all tied up. Hey, have a look at this. All tied up. We've got a bit of a tight game here. 21 hit-outs apiece. Clearances all dead level. 18 apiece. Centre clearances, 6 each. Stoppage clearances, 12 each. There we go. Contested possessions. Pies a little bit harder at the ball. 72-57. They're +15 there, but Carlton, well, they just had their ball in their hand a little bit more, just chipping it around a little bit. They're +25 on the uncontested turnover. Both teams turning it over around about the same, 34-32. Let's have a look at the marking department, though. As I said, it's all tight. All the figures are tight. We're expecting one of the teams to break out in the second half here. 51-49, the marks. That's +2 to the Pies, just +1 in the marks inside 50. So Carlton doing not too bad. As I said, the Pies doing reasonably well. I think that's just one of the things they need to improve on a little bit more. Just going inside forward 50. Just have a little bit more composure, Pies, going inside and try and hit those targets up. Find some reasonable options in there. Contested marks, Pies, well, a lot better overhead in the contested mark this evening. Already above season average, dominating in the air in the marks. Just a 2 to the Blue Baggers. They'll be looking to improve that. Tackle count, well, both teams overall down in their tackle count, 23-27. Both teams still need to put just that little bit more pressure on the opposition, but tackles inside 50. The Pies doing that very, very well. 9 tackles inside their forward 50. Wowee, a third of their tackles coming inside their forward 50. That is fantastic. That is good pressure by the forwards. Tom Vlogs, how you doing? Yeah, just the one to Carlton. That's the problem with some of their big men down there. A little bit like Curnow on that. Well, their second efforts are nearly non-existent for most of the time. But there we go. That is half-time, folks. It's the Magpies by, well, there's the margin there. 24 points, 4 goals. Just to recap the score over there, of course, in Perth, well, it's 27 minutes just about in the first quarter. That's the Giants 5-3-33 leading the Eagles. 1 straight goal, 6. All right, folks, hey, let's get back down to the action. Second half underway.
Vince, DeConing and Curnow are the 2 deep, tall targets, which leaves Pitnet up against Cameron, bouncing around in the middle, locking arms, almost giving away frees. Dacos, no room. Chair up the tackle was effective. Long, winning it was one thing. Dacos has lost the boot. Carlton are able to win the ball forward. DeConing outpointed by Moore. And off he goes, the Collingwood captain. He decides to indulge in a bounce. Why not? A long, long target on the horizon was McStay. It never arrived. Doherty to Hollands. The Blues get a second shot at the start of the third term. Up and under from Lord. The only team there to take the mark. The only way Cronin wasn't going to take the mark was if Moore spoiled him, which he didn't.
Not a great start to what has been their problem. Intercept marking and from a contested variety as well. Tom DeCarney can't get out mark like that. It's a simple, that message would have been loud and clear at half-time.
Quaynor adjacent to the centre square. Wiedering put his fist into it. Mitchell's there underneath. Links it up with Nick Dacos. Hand pass. Lipinski didn't even know it was coming. Off to long, almost through. Dragged down at the last. Sullivan squeezed it forward just enough on it. Elliott back to Sullivan. He'll work it to the square. Mychek kept his foot in and kicked the goal. They do all of the small things right.
Great call, Jared. That is a great way to sum up the ladder leader and the premiership favourite. They do the small things right, and then they got lashings of the spectacular at their disposal when they need it. But that's a start from really solid defence in your back half, 2 intercept marks in the opening minute of the third quarter, 1 to Moore, 1 to Quaynor, and then it helps when you got Dacos breaking the game open. But you just got to make a good decision here. So Long gets chased down, but is able to get a hand away. Sullivan knows that Elliott's there, so he gets a quick kick away. And again, the awareness to have Mychek stand up and tackle like that. So it's a beautiful phrase. They do all the good things well.
They do. They just kept surging it forward. Nick Haynes would probably like to stick that tackle, but in the end, they just get overpowered by a team that's better.
I want to go back. If you're going inside 50, you've got to get a better contest from DeConey.
Mychek's first goal, kicked the goal his last 3 outings against the Blues. They're steaming forward. Williams, and that time DeConey giving a rare latitude by Moore. It was beautiful delivery, it has to be said, at last from Zach Williams.
This is the point, Hutto. So you look at it, the first one that goes in, they just sit it on their head. They play to the strength of Darcy Moore the first time they go in. Darcy Moore is a contested marking animal. Hit up on a lead, and he's left 5 metres behind.
So DeConey to convert. Oh, he can't. He's never really proved himself as a tall forward. That's 4-9 for the season, which it's one thing getting the footy, and you've still got to convert, which he hasn't really had the ability to do regularly.
I think Zach Williams has been Carlton's best tonight. Whether he's played forward, he's moved in the midfield, he's kicked a couple of goals, he delivered the ball well.
Cameron reaches up into the pack. It's Ruckman. He's been taking big marks all night. Maynard sends it beyond halfway.
Advantage.
Mitchell had the wherewithal to take it. Lipinski, the inside run of Quaynor. Doesn't get many looks around the sticks these days. Out to the side for Houston. Around the perimeter. Steele with footy in hands. And Elliott. He's got a nice link with Elliott and has done all night.
You get the feeling they'll find a way of getting the ball to Steele before the end of the evening inside 52.
And they do all the good... What did you say, Jared?
They do all the small things right.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be a small thing, having a goal kicked on debut, but I reckon Hutto might be right. There's just a sobering reality unfolding tonight as well for Carlton supporters, which I'll get to in a minute.
Jamie Elliott kicking for his third. Gives it the full ride.
And that is that I'm not sure where DeConey's going to end up, but Pitnet's short of being your number one ruckman in a side.
Over club on the way back in. Torregas, Lipinski to the inside. Dacos trying to run rings around the Blues defence, and his left boot enabled him to do just that and put it on the chest of Maynard.
Well, again, we must sound like broken records, but they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. A little chip out that misses the target. And then the great thing is there's no panic. There's players everywhere. Nick Dacos, he does the full 360, but he knows he's got time, and he's got the exquisite skill just to turn onto the left and find Braden Maynard in the corridor. A shot from 48.
First game since round 11. Start of the year, he kicked a couple of goals against Port, so he has crept forward. He's kicked 4 straight for the season. That doesn't look like it's going to register a 5th, but they have doubled the Blues score and then won.
Forward half intercepts again. It helps when you get the turnover kick like we just saw, but they prey on it, they sweat on it, they're all tuned in for it.
McGovern hangs it in as far as he can. And Pitnet, downstate Cripps. Curnow, deft touch, Chera. Pitnet overwhelmed, and the Magpies are onto it. Nick Dacos releases Crisp. Has a look at the deep targets. Elliott couldn't get set. Collingwood free kick.
Forward half again. win the ball back in your forward half. Just don't let it leave your forward half. That is the mantra for this Collingwood team, and you're all expected to put pressure on and win the ball back. Just keep pumping it back into a really good, big, tall, contested team. You've got a fair chunk of Mitch McGovern's jumper there.
They both had a handful of jumper. That's play on for mine. But unfortunately, the umpire can only pay what he sees. And he sees the defender holding the forward, but it was just as guilty of holding as McStay was, as McGovern was.
He's been able to get it on the board tonight, and Dan McStay has 3. And this lead grows all the time.
Well, they're just under pressure every time the ball comes in. Collingwood's forward 50, because it's kicked to the advantage of the Collingwood players. I think that's a tough one. I'd love to hear the umpire say you're both holding, play on and let it go. But
did he pay front on contact in the end?
I thought he paid holding.
Right. Well, they should have both. You're right. They cancelled each other out because they both had a chunk of each other's jumper. The mind check McStay memory trout sort of put Mason Cox for the time being. Let's have a look at this. Yeah. As you said, they both got a chunk. But the 3 of them have been, they're just forming up as a really, really dangerous setup. And so they work so hard at ground level as well.
Ruckman nullified. Hewitt first onto it. To Cowan, bouncing off half-back Pitnet. Hands were quick, and Cowan came with enthusiasm, and the driving ball was well handled by Curnow. This time he doesn't run. Now he goes. Let's see if he gets a better result. It's a long, strong bomb, and again, Williams was the marking target. I wonder if he'll ever change, Charlie.
2 lead-up marks on Darcy Moore should tell them something, those key forwards, and the blokes that are kicking it inside 50.
Crisp and Maynard combine. That's not a great kick to halfway. Pitnet had it well scouted. Cowan on the wraparound. As the Blues look up at half forward, Williams is going to have plenty to fly against, and Howe over the top sees it away. It's been 6 goals to 1 Collingwood's way since quarter time.
That's how it feels, isn't it, really?
Yeah, they've run out of options. The bottom line is they've kicked 4 goals for the game, and here's Patrick Cripps getting involved, and as you'd hope, your captain to be really involved.
Chera, Carroll, Hollands. Williams is in a step of space. He couldn't quite use it the way he would have liked. Quaynor as a result. And Sullivan just holds up to the field, sets ahead. Crisp to find the target up the line. Wiedering had good position on memory.
Great defence, Jacob Wiedering. Read it beautifully.
That's not great to Carroll on the bump. Slipped out of the Elliott tackle. Elliott might have hurt himself here. He's cradling the right shoulder. Trying to...
He might be the finger, Jared.
Okay.
Williams is certainly sore. Forward for the Blues.
Just ask the trainer there to go. You've got to go through it. Thank you.
What are we waiting for here?
So Williams is doubled over.
But he's not even on the ground. He's standing doubled over.
It's getting a bit,
and we're stopping the game.
Yeah, that's beyond a joke there. He's still in the same position, Zach Williams.
The head knocks on one thing.
Yeah, well, that's just open to mass exploitation if they're going to stop the game because the bloke's limping. So that is a bit ridiculous, particularly when he's running to this contest.
Cameron reaches over the top. Sullivan just with strength to eke it out towards Dacos. That's paddled over the line. Dacos says that's okay. Bring it back.
Right, Darcy, don't engage early.
36 points the margin. It's a big gap, and it reflects a chasm between the two teams as we see them at the moment. Pitnet to the front. Little grab and go. Off to Chera, rolling the kick just to the inside out. Stretched hands with Fogarty. Motlop trying to make his move through. There was just too many balls in the road. Maybe a little fortunate to get away with the ball up. A double tackle. Perryman and Quaynor. Williams, he has recovered. Had a good bounce.
He just got caught napping then, Charlie, when the stoppage was happening. Darcy Moore took front position away from him. Well, that's lucky not to be 50.
How many times are you allowed to be called back?
Yep.
Is that dependent on the player? Or?
Ward takes the conservative way out. Now to Cameron Wietering.
What they have done, Carlton, is a little bit of repeated pressure, so they're keeping the ball in there at the forward end. See the high contact and over the top there. A little bit sloppy from Charlie. So just got to get some reward for this territory.
36-point margin, heading toward the halfway mark of this third term. Cameron, soft touch. Chris worked it forward only as far as Lord. Back to Chris. Fresh go inside. Cameron kept the hands clear. Nick Dacos, Chris, all in tight. Pendlebury just couldn't quite. Cowan did enough. Had a low-scoring Thursday night encounter earlier in the year, which was 8 goals to 6, 10 goals to 4 in the third term. Nick Dacos up and down the chimney. Perryman needed to release.
They're working hard. Collingwood's capacity to get outside. They love a contest, Collingwood. They're happy to sit in this sort of a game for as long as it takes. But when they get to the outside, they're devastating.
So Wietering and Membry engage. Lord out in front of the interchange gates, where there's a big queue waiting to come on. Lord taken to ground. Now Cripps has got his instructions on the bat phone. He's waving furiously to get himself back into the fray. Collingwood making their adjustments with the coach 2 steps away from the stoppage. Reset in close confines. Cripps squeezes a kick forwards. Maynard to repel. Crisp again, right against the boundary. Worked to kick up. Took the bounce to open up some possibilities. Wietering swatted it away, but straight to Perryman, who was between about 4 Blues. McStay will give them a look inside 50. Elliott. He removed McGovern legally and took a sprawling mark.
He just read the drop of the ball so well. He just ducked in behind McGovern there because he knew it was just going to go over the top. McGovern just went straight under the ball, probably played for a little bit, but gee, that's a great mark too.
Well, it is, and he did get away with a push, though. There's no doubt about it. I think you're right. McGovern overplayed it, but he fought for front position, McGovern, and then probably regretted getting there that early.
Elliott looking for his third. There'd be plenty in this kick too. It's not to be just yet as he searches for his 40th goal in the season for the first time.
Plenty of memories in it for him, sitting there.
Yeah.
Moons posed the question earlier. I think it's time. McGovern on Elliott. You've got to try and find a different matchup for Elliott. Not that he's cutting him to shreds, but they've got to become a better than a 4-goal side. So McGovern forward would be the next option at some stage.
He has the kicking in duties for now. Again, he pulls the kick back. Again, it's Fogarty who was one of the targets. De Koning then as the rover. Surely he was interfered with. Play on the call. Houston targeting Lipinski at centre-half forward. Now Steele is inside 50, his arms flapping around. Lipinski, though, goes for Elliott again, and he's got it. You'd think they would have had time to find the man for Jamie Elliott. But the delivery inside 50 from Pat Lipinski was perfect.
I'm just fascinated by the kick out to where it goes and to who it goes to. That's a couple of times we've seen it from Carlton, and it's McGovern that's kicking it, and then it's his man.
He was gearing up for the snap, and for the first time in his career, Jamie Elliott has 40 goals. And that is a fine achievement. And the margin stretches to 43 points.
So sometimes, and I like Pat Lipinski as a player. I think he does lots of things right, as Jared's alluded to. Then you go back and you read, or you were alluded to the fact that the value for money he gets for possessions, and I'm big on this. If you get the footy, you must get full value. So this is why he's the best kick inside 50 in the competition. And players need to be better at this. Coming up through the ranks, become the best inside 50 kick in your team or in the competition, because there's a spot for you at AFL footy. And the numbers say that there aren't many of them. Elliott is one of the best converters, but Lipinski's ability to get full value for possessions is gold.
His 14th season, Jamie Elliott is proving his best around the sticks. It's quite the achievement from a 32-year-old. Tom Mitchell releases Lipinski. He'll find Elliott again. Rinse and repeat, Gaz.
You don't understand why the Collingwood forwards want to lead when Lipinski gets the ball, Gaz.
But don't you look at him now in a different light?
Yeah.
Like we talk about, and I'll be careful here because I might go around the corner and we'll get stuck. But you see this and you go, well, this is why he is so valuable. And if you're an opposition team, go after him and see if you can make it hard for Collingwood to keep him, because this is so valuable.
He had that 6-week stretch where he kicked 23 goals, Elliott. Was a little cooler through the past 3. He's kicked 3 goals, 2 tonight. It's a beautiful looking kick. And Elliott sets sail toward 50, having put 40 in the rearview mirror. And this is suddenly out to 49 points.
Yeah, it's getting... Yeah, well, we'll watch, obviously, what's going to happen in the next quarter and 10 minutes. But you as one of the greatest goal kickers of all time, and I'm not saying this to embarrass you, you would look up the ground at various stages and your heart rate just jumps a bit because you know who's got the footy in their hands. Am I right?
Every forward's got their favourites. Your eyes light up because you know the person with the ball is a better than average kick, and you just want to be on the end of it. And Paddy Lipinski, as you say, continues to show us this skill, the ability to put it on a dime right where the forward wants it. Why wouldn't you be presenting and have multiple options? Because he picks the right option and then he hits the target. And Elliott's converting. He's got to be playing himself into an All-Australian blazer, surely.
Yeah, he's second in the Coleman. His PB is 6. He's done it twice. McStay's PB is 4. So they both might be thinking about more individual accolades, even though they have the team first approach. The Blues need something at the moment desperately. A little handoff back to Lord. Carlton players looked at each other. McGovern is forward.
And what about the stark contrast there? And I know Moyer's only a young player, but poor old Charlie comes charging out. He's dreaming of a Pat Lipinski style kick. And the Carlton hierarchy sitting here and some Collingwood royalty. There's mixed emotions there.
Watching on with Brian Cook as well. That's Hutton. Motlop, chance to snap one. It's read a second for the evening. And it is a rarity for Carlton. It's starved of goals since quarter time. Now 5-7-37, the margin back to 43 points.
It's a really important conversion because whilst it looks like they're getting overwhelmed by a far superior team, what they have to do, guys, they've got to show some fight. They've got to find a way to grind this out for 4 quarters to give their supporters a little bit of faith and to give themselves a bit of confidence. If they're up against the best opponent in the competition, they've got to find ways to continue to take a little bit of ground.
Yeah, and their DNA has been, we haven't been playing that well, but contested clearance has still been our strength. Well, contest tonight hasn't been. They're getting smashed in the contest. They're 19 down in contest against this Collingwood side. But you're right, the 49-point margin is starting to get to that moment where, not that they need much encouragement, but the talkback lines will light up again tomorrow. So they've got to dig in, Carlton.
Rucks outside the circles. Pendlebury takes the clearance as a result. Around the perimeter, Sullivan chases hard, trying to drop Doherty. He couldn't. Lipinski rounded up by Holmes. Two coaches. Teams going in opposite directions. Sullivan through the stoppage, shook the tackle and kicked the goal. Even the rookies are getting in on the axe. And won't his teammates love that?
Gee, it's a good stoppage goal. It's a great crumb. But there's a very poor tackle involved. And these are the things that you can't accept. You might be beaten in terms of skill and class, but you can't be beaten in terms of effort and determination. And it's Evans here that just gets pushed off too easily. That's just... it's cost you a goal because you can't stick a tackle.
Yeah, and look at Sullivan here with Doherty. This is the sort of sums up a bit where it's at. Sullivan's fighting for his life to try and get a game. And I think... Doherty's been a warrior with an unbelievable story who's at the end. And this is the gap between the two teams. You got Sullivan, who's probably the 23rd or 4th, who's getting a run at the minute, just exposing what Carlton got out there. It was a great goal.
Of course, made his debut as a sub against Carlton in round 8 last year and kicked a goal from a similar position with his first kick. A great goal last week as well, so that's consecutive weeks. They're defending here. Rounded up Houston. Appeals for holding the ball. Denied.
Yeah, so McGovern has gone forward now.
Curnow back in the goal square, but not going to see it here. Campbell's chained up. Gankos to Long. Steele, careful kick to Mitchell, just. Waited for the right moment. Off to Josh. Beautifully spaced further ahead, although Carroll left his man at just the right moment to deny Hoskin Elliott and show a bit. Charging under the worn wing, kicking deep down to Moyer, who juggles it, claims it, and gets the tick off from the umpire. Mr. Moyer.
She was terrific.
Close enough here.
Terrific from Carroll, wasn't it? I'm not sure if Moyer had first hands on it, but he claimed it. He did very, very well. We have a look at Maynard here. Oh, close enough.
Take it. Second game for the season, as we mentioned. We saw him late last year. As the Blues were just trying to hang on and play finals footy. Unfortunately, that one smothered. So Maynard has the last laugh. McStay versus Wiedering. A bit of brains and brawn required here. He waits. It's Lipinski on the charge. It's the ball versus Haynes. And the ball wins. Collingwood will win. McStay has 4. The Magpies are dominant. And their fans are on their feet. And how quickly they turn defence into attack and rip you to pieces.
Yeah, and the joy on the faces of the Collingwood players. This is the worry now for Carlton, is that, well, this is a horrendous mistake. Did he play on? He must have got called play on because Maynard come off the line. Then the contested mark against one of the great defenders and an open goal. They've been inside 59 times for the quarter, Jason, and they have kicked 6 goals free. They've scored every time they've gone in.
What gets me, Kaz, is you're having a shot for goal. It's smothered. The opposition has 2 kicks and it results in a goal.
Yes, yeah.
2 kicks the length of the ground.
Pressured up around 212 Collingwood as well. Highest it's been for the match. 9 inside 50, 6 goals free for the quarter. Now it's getting ugly.
10 goals to 2 since quarter time. The Collingwood fans are notionally the away fans tonight, but they have owned the environment. Cripps to Chera. Carlton with the advantage. So it's allowed to fly. It was no sort of advantage. Moore shot it out the side. Steele. Hands off. Perryman takes the yards up the line. Hoskin Elliott brought it to ground. Holding it himself. Trickled it forward. Perfectly done. Membry brushed into space. Hoskin Elliott on the follow-up. Still searching for the targets inside 50. Places it for McStay to rise. He can't hang on.
Just feel like a few of these Collingwood forwards as we see Jeremy Howe.
Yeah, subs just staying down here, guys. Just tactical at the moment. He did come off a little bit of blood, but it's just tactical.
Yeah, happy to rest someone like that, but a few forwards are going to fill their boots for Collingwood here.
They could do. Akers just couldn't reach it.
And the broken tackle you talked about earlier that resulted in the Sullivan goal, and there was another broken tackle. They're being treated just a little bit with contempt at the minute. And that can happen when you haven't played much footy, but you've got to dig in. Your experienced players have got to dig in.
Cameron is searching for a free kick. Dacos, probably the same. Cripps and Lord combined to bring the Blues away. Lord kicks over the top of Taconing. Moore was always favoured in flight.
Absolutely horrible kick from Cooper Lord. He just, at Taconing, did everything he could to get front spot and had a bit of space to work into, and he had to go back as Cooper Lord kicked it up high over his head.
Moore brings it up to the contest. Cameron moved the pack. Gives it to Josh Dacos on the wraparound. And again, the forwards to get a look. Membry's the front flyer. Underneath Long. Squirted the kick to go. They can do no wrong.
Well, it's just becoming a landslide, isn't it? That man there's got all sorts of problems, Michael Voss. But what the Blues have to be very careful of now is we've sat here and spoken about the difference in class, the difference in ball use, the execution of skills. They may get judged on this last quarter and a bit in terms of the effort and the performance and the grit and the determination and the pride that they have in the jumper may just be defined by what they show over the last 30 or 40 minutes once they've been thoroughly beaten. Can they fight it out, or do they just roll over now?
Contested marks 19-4, which is why I'm so critical of the Cooper Lord kick. Yeah, this is just a strong contest, and this is why I love these three forwards from Collingwood. McStay, Memory and Mycheck, is they don't get outmarked. So if you're a forward crummer or a ground ball player or anyone, get to the front of every contest when you go inside forward 50. Cooper Lord's kicking at 29%. I know he's young, but not good enough.
Dacos out of the centre to Pendlebury and to Sullivan. McStay wants it deep. Played a nice little kick into the pocket instead for Jack Crisp.
And this is where, as a forward, you've got to control all those players further afield that want to run down and get involved. Jack Crisp, get back in your box. Get back upfield, mate. This is house space.
It does feel like a bit of fill your boots time.
Yeah.
We grew up with the third quarter designated as the premiership quarter, and it was Carlton that had that mantle. Collingwood are making it their own with miracle kicks like that. That is an 8-goal third term. They can't miss. Jack Crisp celebrates one of the best of his storied career, and they have kicked 8 goals to 1 in this third term. 12 times this year they've won the third term. Their percentage was at 200% in third quarters coming in tonight.
It's just magnificent Collingwood. That's what it is. So 8 goals, 3 from 12 entries in the quarter. And the kicking efficiency sums everything up. Everything you want to know about, okay, why are they 8 goals to 1? They've kicked at 73%. Carlton are kicking at 48. Nothing has changed. Carlton fans are sitting here watching the game unfold. Collingwood are magnificent.
Yeah.
Take nothing away from them. Carlton are the same. They're butchering the ball everywhere.
And they know it. They're a broken team out in the middle now. We've seen the collapse of hope and belief, and we've seen some trauma. Now it's just broken at the hand of an old rival. Steele kept it alive from the wing, and Sullivan just wanted it more. Pendlebury, it's in the best of hands. We got run down this time. Dwelt a bit too long in the decision-making, and McGovern raises an effort.
Count on one hand how many times that happened.
But look what happens. I mean, when Collingwood turn it over, they go bang, bang, and they race down the other end. Their ability to switch into defensive mode after they've turned it over is amazing.
Cowan up to the contest. Curnow just slipped as he went to slide. Pendlebury, Josh Dacos found his way through, add to the broken tackles. Long shot it out the side. Crisp, Gallimat into space. Nick Dacos worked it on, a bit too cute. Long knocked over. Cripps onto it. Akers, Williams. Curnow's okay. Hand pass up to the 50. And it gives Evans the chance to have a ping and a miss.
Felt in a rush there, didn't he? Probably had a bit more time.
Would have had even more time if the hand pass was a decent one and didn't bounce to it.
True. They can't take a trick at the moment. Certainly can't kick a goal.
But you can't be dispirited if you're a Carlton player. So we already heard they're going to make decisions at the end of the year. So do you want to be one of those players that they make a decision on so he doesn't fight when it gets tough? Doesn't have that pride of wanting to compete even when everything's against us.
Two pure little kicks along the line. Takes us to Long and now on to Dacos. The outside of the boot, that takes a bit.
Those 3 kicks would make a Carlton supporter cry. They were just pure, beautiful ball use.
Might just be all cried out though, Gaz, at the moment. Back through the middle to Josh Dacos. Floats one into the pocket. Gives McStay the run that he needed. Well handled by Lord. Wanting not to take possession. Evans had no choice. Rowan Steele there. A piece of it as well. 16-8 to 5-8. And still they hunt for more goals. Pendlebury. Houston wanted a free. Lord trips the handball to Williams. And now to Akers. Doherty running hard through the corridor. And out to the wing. It was really their only target. He had to put in the hard steps just to get there, which he does. Waited for Hollands to catch up and then delivery to Curnow. He's got Fantasia and Hollands has kept on running. Fantasia is still there. He's trying to point him on the path to goal, but unfortunately the path was a bit steep. Let's see what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
Poor old.
That's not a hard kick from Charlie to hit. That was almost their best passage of play, and Graham Wright will can't help Graham Wright right now, because that's every Carlton fan's looking at him going, fix us.
Yes. He hasn't got a magic wand, Gaz.
I know.
The only upside is no one will second guess the decisions that he makes. Curnow marauding through, rounding into the post, much to the delight of the Collingwood fans, whose night could barely get any better.
Well, the other thing you've got to do if you're Carlton, you've got a young lad on the bench, Flynn Young. He's only played the one game. You may as well give him some game time. The opportunity's right.
Yeah.
It's like the edge of a few Australian upper order batsmen.
Yes. 3 behinds for Curnow, Hunno.
Just like last week. Elliott with a juggle.
And whilst we bemoan the state of Carlton, it is incumbent upon us to, and I know we will, Collingwood, just precision and clinical way they go about things is to be applauded. They don't miss much.
But it's amazing in between success how you can dip for that year and then go bang straight back to where you were.
I think that couldn't release after the good take. Sullivan onto it. Blues have the numbers here, so McGovern's been redeployed quickly just to gap fill for the moment.
Just keep an eye on Darcy Cameron, guys. Very, very slow to get up after that ruck contest, holding his right arm.
Well, it seems to be the main worry for Collingwood at the moment. It's just his injuries, really, isn't it? Everything else looks in tip-top condition. There's a fine mark. I don't think he even flew for that, really, Cameron.
No, didn't want to compete, and if there are any issues, you just take him off.
Hitting it down the line to Koning with the leap, but more. Got his timing just right. Smashed it away.
Yeah, the pressure Collingwood apply has been up over 200 for the whole quarter. That's the other thing. It won't dip in the last quarter either, so there'll be no relief for Carlton.
De Koning to the front. Williams v Dacos. Trying to take Nick Dacos on, and look at the response. It's an attack.
That's what I'm talking about, Hutto. It's almost the competition amongst themselves to see that who can put the most pressure on. And it helps when the best player, arguably in the game, is leading the charge.
We go again. Coney couldn't take it. Fantasia flings it out. Charlie doesn't take the shot. Williams will. He'll kick a third. He's been the only genuine threat up there. A shining light for the Blues, Zach Williams. And the margin is back to 59 points. At least they've kicked a couple of goals in the third quarter, which has belonged to Collingwood, who has 8 in this quarter.
Well, he's got 19 possessions, 4 clearances, 3 goals. You've got to say he's had a go. Yeah.
As good a game as he's played for a long time.
Yep.
Because they're up against the Collingwood team. This is their highest scoring quarter since 2006 against the Blues. It's the sort of numbers we're looking at right now for this Collingwood team, and they've got an appetite for more, you think. So for Williams to be able to do this against this tidal wave of goal scoring on the opposite end is highly commendable.
31 seconds remain in a third term dominated by the Pies. Pit net reached up. Nick Dacos swoops though. Chance for a pristine entry. Placed it for Sullivan. Rush of blood. Off to Josh. Up to full forward. It's a scunged kick. Doherty, Chera, McGovern. His job to clear the area. Bit of a fly ball out to left field. Dropped by Akers. Houston onto it. Pendlebury, Chris kept it low to give Nick Dacos a chance. He was taken high. He can have a shot after the siren.
Not sure there was a lot that he could do. In the end, Weering, he was trying to pull up.
Chance to add a ninth goal to this third-term masterpiece. Nick Dacos has one already. Visualises the opportunity. Nick Dacos. Not this time. 60 points, 10 goals neat at the final change.
Well, it would have kept off what was an extraordinary quarter anyway. The Magpies taking complete control in this one. And they lead by 60 points. Won't take long, though, before there's more footy coming your way on Fox Footy early.
All right, there we go, folks. As we were saying at halftime, we were just waiting for the Magpies to open Carlton right up, and that's exactly what they did in that third term. 16-9-105, the Magpies. Carlton 6-9-45, 60-point margin. That's 10 goals, three-quarter time, and I think plenty more to come unless the Magpies, well, decide to take the foot off the pedal. Tell you what, all's going well, Mark. All is going well. We're going to have a look and see what's happening with Elliott, how many goals he's got. I know he's kicked a few. I just want to update 26-minute mark of the second term over there at Optus Stadium, and it's the Giants 8-6-54 leading the West Coast Eagles 3-1-19. All right, let's go and have a look at the goal scorers there for Mark. There we go, goal scorers. Let's have a look at the goal scorers up until three-quarter time. Let's go through Carlton's goal scorers so far because there's not many. Zach Williams, well, he's been Carlton shining light with 3 goals, 19 disposals, 4 clearances. He's done pretty good. Jesse Motlop with 2 goals, Fantasia with 1, and that is it for Carlton. But for the mighty Magpies, of course, we've got 2 players kicking 4 goals. Daniel McStay, there we go, centre all, he's had 4 straight goals. Jamie Elliott, I tell you what, he absolutely ripped Carlton apart in that third term. He had frequent flyer points galore in that third term. He was flying high. Jamie Elliott, 4 goals, 2 off his 9 kicks, 11 disposals, and 7 marks. Absolutely set the Pies alight in that third term. And of course, Lipinski was instrumental in delivering the ball to Elliott. And he's a pretty good player, Lipinski, as well. There we go. 4 and 4 for Jamie Elliott and Daniel McStay. Tim Membry, the other multiple goal scorer, with 2. Singles to Lockie O'Sullivan, Brody Myercheck, Ned Long, Will Hoskin Elliott, Nick Dacos and Jack Crisp kicking a beautiful goal from the boundary. Disposal count, of course, who else but, of course, the Dacos brothers, the best duo in the competition. Nick Dacos leading the way on 27, 6 clear of his nearest rival, his brother, of course, Josh Dacos. 16 disposals, 16 kicks, 11 handballs, 4 marks, 2 tackles, 4 clearances, 1 goal, 2 for Nick Dacos. Just a little bit skewy if he'd normally kick those couple of goals, but we'll let him off. He's having a ring-a-ding-ding game. Josh Dacos not too far away with 21. Adam Kira, best for the Blue Bags with 21 possessions. Zach Williams, though, the shining light for Carlton, 19 disposals, 15 kicks, 4 handballs, 2 marks, 1 tackle, 4 clearances, 3 straight goals. That's what they need. Paddy Cripps there on 19. Scotty Penn will be the old boy on 18 with Jack Cripps. There we go. There's for you, Mark. Tom Mitchell, not a bad third quarter. 16 disposals he's up to. 16, that's 6 kicks, 10 handballs. He's had 2 marks, 2 tackles, 4 clearances. So certainly, without being too dominant out there this evening, he's done his role tonight and he's going to get through this game. And he looks in fine fettle out there, Tom Mitchell. So another big asset for the Pies if required later on in the season. Sam Doherty and Charlie Curnow all on 16 touches. Of course, Curnow still got the yips, 3 behind, still unable to just kick the goal. Braden Maynard, tough as ever with 15 there for the Pies. Ned Long on 13, Wiedering on 11. Let's just roll on down. Lipinski, I tell you what, he's very underrated. Patrick Lipinski for the Magpies. I tell you what, he's a gun, he's an A-grader, and his ball use is absolutely fantastic. As I said, Jamie Elliott, 11 disposals, 9 kicks, 2 handballs, 7 marks, 4 goals, 2. Brody Myercheck, well, a little bit quiet, but that's all right. Elliott's taken the limelight. 9 disposals, 8 kicks, 1 goal, 1. Tom DeConing, quiet game from him, 9 disposals, 10 hitouts, 1 clearance for the Blue Baggers. And there we go. There are your player stats up until 3/4 time. We might have a look at the team stats after the game, because straight after this game, I want to head on over and do the GWS West Coast game. Probably try and get the last quarter and a bit in there if possible. But it's a great game to watch, Mark. Of course, it's great to see the Magpies doing their thing. Look, every player for the Pies, they know their role. They do the job well, and they're just a tough opposition. If folks remember, a little bit like the team of Richmond when they were just flying, winning the flags, Geelong when they were flying, winning the flags, it's a bit like that. They're pretty predictable, but I tell you what, they are mighty hard to stop. And I think the ball use, just the skill of the players and the teamwork they're doing is just exceptional. Number 1 in the league, without a doubt. There's very few faults in the team at the moment. All right, folks, let's head back down to the ground for the final quarter. It's the mighty Magpies by 60 points. Can they hit the 100?
Put on in this last quarter. They're hungry and never satisfied.
It recounted in the pre-match, 268th time these two teams have met, dates back to the 1800s. Only 14 times has Collingwood beaten Carlton by 10 goals or more. So they are in rare air tonight. Hewitt and Cripps combine out of the middle. Pack destroyed.
And this is the... it's gone the other way. I thought it was going to go Carlton's way.
So did I. So did I.
Darcy Moore paid it. Just a little tug of the jumper on the arm on the way to the contest.
Also a couple of arms around Mitch McGovern.
So choose your own adventure, Jason, some of those.
Yep. But it's been a completely dominant display. We're looking at the best team in the competition against one of the middle-of-the-road also-rans.
Look at the backdrop on the Warren side. It has thinned out considerably at 3/4 time. Plenty of Blues fans have seen enough for the night. O'Farrell turns it over.
With resignation too, Jared, I reckon. It's not quite the vitriol and anger that we've seen in recent years or times.
Perryman advances the cause from Myercheck. O'Farrell made the spoil. It's out of play.
They do anything different here, so whether they can perhaps change the way they go forward, take more risks, kick to space, kick to grass.
Back into play, McStay. Chiro held him up. Squirted forward. Curnow pushed off balance, allows Chiro to do that, just dribble it forward. The cone had a lot to go right. Not quite sure what Mitch McGovern was doing. Looked like a dive off the high board. Cripps just showing off his absolute strength there. Plays it back through Curnow. They get it inside 50. It's a pretty decent left foot snap from McGovern, and we're forced to fly for the mark. Can I take it? So both subs have been activated now. So Williams subbed off with Young on the ground. So this is precautionary with Williams.
You mentioned what can you salvage in that last quarter, Gaz. I mean, you're down 20 contested possessions, so you start with how much football can you win, but just as importantly, what can you do with the football once you win it, instead of just blazing away?
Farrell couldn't mark, but he was able to distribute, and Flynn Young puts it inside 50. Not to much avail, though. Perryman brings it out. Maynard trying to get it back to Perryman. He did set him a bit of a task. Hangs on to the mark.
Brandon, take him right out, please.
Through the protected area. Collingwood unhurried, as is their style. Mitchell presents. He's had a good return. Markov, he loves a dash. And passes to Hoskin Elliott. Had to trap it before he could distribute. He's kicked it for Membry, working his way in from the side. Underneath Lipinski. Not quite as good at goal as he has been, setting them up.
They just make it look so easy. That transition from defence, it was slow, it was measured. 2 or 3 kicks that found the target, then they were able to link by hand pass. You get the deep entry forward, a good contest in the air, and a crumb snap for goal.
Just saw Williams there, guys. That was a knock to the knee. That's why he's been subbed out.
Juggle from Curnow, not enough. Motlop, you can see what he was scheming. Parker, though, I would have thought that.
Yeah, Williams to the bench with the subbed out of the game is just probably
He's been their best player.
I think it is.
the thing that they
Half
can
their goals.
least afford to have happen.
And unfortunately, it's been the story of certainly of his Carlton career. All falls back to Chera. Along the line to Curnow again. Just how much go. He's had 10 score involvements tonight, Charlie. So that's something to say.
No, he's worked hard, Hutto, but they're getting away with Maynard. Not that getting away with, but Maynard v Curnow is a matchup that you'd think you could exploit in the air at least. But Maynard's such the competitor that he suits Curnow because he hasn't been able to extend a big aerial presence.
Hit that, sharked it, but gave it straight back. Chris to Mitchell. And off goes Steele. On debut, nice looking kick too. A guiding ball for Lipinski. Hoskin Elliott wanted it centred, but instead he pinpoints. He's a slow check.
When Lipinski marked that ball, Gaz, I was looking forward. 5 players got on their bikes and led.
And
their eyes light up too.
had the binoculars on it, and they're all dribbling.
It's just a matter of who could find the space. Lipinski would find them.
Blokes are screaming at each other to get out of each other's way.
Yeah.
So Vycek hasn't really filled the boots tonight, and with kicks like that.
Well, we do joke about, we're joking about it in a serious way, if you know what we mean. We're obviously fans, but when you do get someone like that, it does instigate so much movement all around the place.
Doherty thumps it in long to Koning, grappling with Quaynor. To the back. Can't be handled by Moya.
And it's the best thing that you can actually give to a player that has the ball and is about to deliver it forward is options. The more movement, the better. It allows him then to say, well, where's a really good gap? Where's a player that's got some space on his opponent?
You ask any of the Collingwood players who's the unsung player in the group, they'll tell you Lipinski. I've always thought it was just admiration, but it just might be currying favour so that he chooses them when the moment arrives. Long pumps it inboards. Fogarty against the play. Hollands backed himself. Somehow worked it on. Pitnet and Doherty fed it forward for Lord. Now what's he going to find inside 50? De Koning's on the lead. Had the hands in front. Couldn't hang on. Motlop doing the crumb end courts. De Koning kept it alive. Hewitt, McGovern into the channel. Nobody there. And Parker gets an early involvement as the sub.
This could have been 50. Parker, number upgraded from 45 to 15 this year, which is always a good sign. And Steele, of course, has the 45. This is Scout, who's been okay on return. Unfortunately, the kick, though, is straight to Parker. The former Victorian spinner kicks into the middle of the MCG near the pitch area. Elliott.
Even then, the decision by Elliott.
Yeah.
He knew he was under the pump, so he went up with the fist trying to knock it on because he knew he had Membry running further towards goal. Didn't even try to take the mark.
Get that down the throat of Hewitt, but he can't release the handball. Free kick, advantage again to Nick Dacos. Down he goes, Membry. He's trademark, 2-footed leap. Wiedering doesn't quite know where the footy is, which is dangerous. Had a bit of a kiss and a cuddle and a roll over. We'll have a ball up. Nice Cameron slowly making his way.
Yeah, he was slow to get back up again, Hutto, so he's going to be very sore after this game, I think, the big boy.
Mickey Moods. On state of fairway apart there.
On that basis, they want him to keep out there because Membry doesn't know what he's doing.
I don't think he even tried on this occasion, Gaz, did he really? Or good smother from Charlie. Allows Hollands and the sweep forward handball to Fogarty. He's got Moya on the outside. Fantasia is the man he chooses on the inside. Evans decides not to run forward, so he makes himself viable. It'll take at least one more good kick to get inside the 50 to Hollands. He decides not to press on, and now he's got to think about it.
Gee, Ned Long did well. He ran with Charlie Kerner, who was running back into the corridor. Ran with him even a little bit harder all the way just to take the edge off his lead, and it meant that the Blues had to go wide. They're getting a much lower percentage shot for goal now.
Brandon McRae taking a lot of interest in piece of vision there.
I wonder if that's Darcy Cameron in his last effort he's looking at.
Eddie Hollands, 4 goals, 2 for the season. Kicked a nice goal when they met earlier in the season. It's not going to be a goal, as you can see. In fact, Cameron looks all right there. hangs on to the mark. It's been part of his strength this year.
Queen Orr just hung a little longer than he would have liked, but able to snatch it down before the pressure arrives. Josh Dacos was paid as 15.
Where are the Brownlow votes going tonight, do you think?
It's really even. When Elliott is making a case, Dacos is going to be there again.
Blues build for another entry. Carroll is the kicker, and he found Moyer.
He has had some moments, this young fellow, so throughout all the dark, there's a little bit of light, and the kick gives him a chance to do just that, take a mark against two players inside forward 50, so good result.
Kicked a goal in each of those games at the end of last season. Was left out for the elimination final. That was the sub against the Pies earlier in the year. And gets a look at the big sticks. Ashton Moyer, lovely off the boots. And it's the Blues who get the first of the final term. They bring the margin inside the 10-goal threshold.
Yeah, he has had a couple of good moments. You're right, Gaz. He picked up in the draft a couple of years ago out of the Sandful. Glenelg boy. Just playing game number 4, so a little bit more exposure.
Just keep playing him. Keep playing him now. He's had to play in a position a little unfamiliar. He's played key forward at various stages when McGovern was down the back half, so he's now going to go to the goal square and play out of the forward goal square with Quain or his opponent. So, no, he's had some nice moments, so just keep playing these sorts of guys between now and the end of the year. Find out who's going to be around for 2026 and beyond.
One of the greats, David Rees-Jones. Great to see him in the footy. Wouldn't be impressed with the score.
I suspect he might have taken things into his own hands by now.
Yeah.
Hewitt takes things into his own hands out of the middle and goes straight to Parker. I wonder if the Blues could call on a former coach to do a bit of hot gospeling, Dennis Pagan style from last night. He's young, trying to get out of it. Markov not be eyeing off another premiership. Josh Dacos, they're just showing off now, the Dacos brothers. Go-ahead kick was off the left boot. Outnumbered was Membry, and the numbers went out. Haynes to Young to get out of his way. Best of kicks. Perryman to Markov against, sweeps it into long. There's 3 Magpies ready just inside the 50, and then they are up to the footy. Deputy riding hard on Scott Pendlebury.
So there'll be a little message for young Will Parker, who's come onto the ground. He's only had a couple of touches, but his kicks, like what he'll learn from all of this, what's happening now, is that you must get some value for your kicks. And he had a couple of opportunities, just missed a little bit, floated one up a little bit too high.
And quite a night by Scott Pendlebury's incredible standards. He still had 18 disposals, as you can see. Doesn't take the long shot. Holland's there to spoil, disrupt the play. And it's over and out.
Well, Pendles has done a little bit as we look at 75,827 in the house. What Pendlebury has done is started games really, really well. He was fantastic in the first half and then drops off a little bit or is used in a different manner in the second half, which is understandable given his age and experience.
Crowd posted just over 75,000. Or close to the line, it's over and out.
So first time since the COVID era that these two haven't drawn 80,000 plus. And Carlton home game helps explain that.
It does. It really does. Game 4-17 for Scotty Pendlebury. 9 short of Tucky, 15 short of Brent Harvey. 9 home and aways and maybe 3 finals to come this year, who knows. Bit of a lull at the midpoint of this final term. Camera the tap, getting that whacking away in there. Back to your point, Gaz, about the rucking future of Carlton, perhaps.
Yeah, and he's a willing competitor, Mark Pittman, and he'll give his heart and soul. But, Cameron's had his way with him for most of the night, and if the coning goes, then you've got another decision to be made there.
Dacos's hands to the inside full-on, who knew not to take possession. Pendlebury did that. Love Tom Mitchell to get forward and kick a goal. Just can't quite do it.
He's worked hard, Mitchell. He's found plenty of the ball. That's 20 possessions. He's also had 4 clearances.
First time
possession, sorry.
First time since Anzac Day last year. Kerno has a fly. Gathered the ground ball. Shared it away with Young. So Flynn searching for a target. And he'll find Haynes on the way out. Feeds the hand pass on to Chera, brings it to the near side for Akers. He'll look up and see Fogarty working for him. He goes short to Koning, and he had a devil of a time getting hold of it. Chris brushes the ruckman away. Takes it up for Membry to have a fly at.
Parker did a great job then on the Koning. Just to refuse to concede the mark. Got a fist in, got it to the ground, and away they went.
Steele pumps it up inside 50. Holland's got one hand to it. Cowan breaks through the Nick Dacos tackle and kicks the Blues into centre field. Evans, the link-up hand pass, he didn't give it. Now what's he thinking? He's going to steer the pass up to Moyer and on to McGovern for the walk-in goal. Blues have kicked a couple as they look to salvage the margin.
It's a rarity, Carlton being able to break down the Pies' defence. Maybe just taking the foot off the pedal, Gaz. Late in the game, I think the work's done.
Jace, their final quarter record this year isn't that great. It's 8-7. I reckon a lot of it is because they've had the games
yeah,
up a lot of the time.
And I think a little bit, you go, you know you've got the game passing up. There's a little bit of preservation mode. Let's just manage everything and get ourselves to the finish line without much happening.
The third quarter pressure number was up in the over 200 for the whole quarter. There's nothing like that in this last quarter. Now, I'm sure Craig McRae hasn't said, boys, let's just get to the line, but it would appear that there's a bit of preservation.
But also that third quarter intensity takes its toll too.
It does, yeah.
And the heat's gone out of the game, so you can get caught up in that, that sort of lull.
So if you're Carlton, and people will say, well, it doesn't add up to much. Well, 50 points is a damn sight better than 80 at the minute.
Yeah.
Saved them from complete embarrassment. Although Pendlebury still able to run rings around and out of the middle. Hoskin Elliott waits, he goes now. Kick heads towards Myercheck. Oh, the long arms of the law of Wiedering. Reaching out and reeling it back in. Quickly moving it on. Hollins. Wasn't a clean way out. Cowan showed good attacking intent with the footy. He's been one of the pluses tonight. Out across half-back, Young getting his opportunity well up the ground. A bit of a chopper kick along the line for Curnow. Didn't make life particularly easy for him. Maynard plays it back to Cameron, the reinforcements. And then ahead to Parker. Umpire's got a faulty P in the whistle. Parker kicks, gave him a good look at it, the Blues defence. Carroll couldn't completely cross it. Steele plays it forward. Good spin from Myercheck to keep it alive. Fight out the handball to no one in particular. Steele worked off it. Cripps trying to take on the world. Did a pretty good job of it, really. Young to the voice of Hollins. And now to Carroll. He showed a bit of dash. Down the line to Curnow. Quain is going to kill another contest.
That was fantastic. He was going to be under a bit of pressure then. Maynard Quain would have summed that up quickly. It came off his man.
The love Maynard just gave him too, guys. They love helping each other out, don't they?
They do. They almost make it a competition. Moons, as we said, they thrive on it. But just for Carlton, you just want them to take the whole thing on. Come through the middle. The going around the boundary isn't going to help anyone. See if you can hurt Collingwood through the middle of the ground.
Chris couldn't quite handle the kick coming from Nick Dacos. He ties up Young. Ball threatened to get out momentarily, but only momentarily.
So clearance is one of the few areas they've had a win tonight, but they haven't been able to convert it into anything special, obviously, on the scoreboard.
Koning worked his way to knock it into open space. Sullivan kept Chera off it, opened the way for Lord, had it picked off. Nick Dacos to Pendlebury, steers the pass perfectly, and Elliott's going to get another look.
Well, Pendlebury's in the Lipinski category for getting value for touches. Just doesn't waste. The onus of responsibility on you as a kicker when you go inside forward 50 in this Collingwood side, the expectation is that you get full value for your touches. And that's the result right there.
4 goals, 2, and 1 that didn't make the distance. Jamie Elliott hits the post. .51 margin.
Cowan again on the way out. Doherty up against the line. He provides the charge. Cowan's kick is excellent. Quickly through to Evans, into the middle they do go. Chera couldn't quite get it to the running Carroll, so instead out wide to Haynes. It takes out the middle then and goes long for De Koning. With the stretch, but succeeds. There is a couple of targets that are tall and calling for it, but a drop short, so Motlop had to fly. Perryman to Quainer. The bounce pass, interesting, to Cameron, to Lipinski. Right on the line, or was he over? He was just over. Stay shakes his head, pretends he doesn't know who he has to give the ball back to. And the man is identified as Nick Haynes.
Haynes inside 50, easy work for Cameron, and placed himself in the drop zone to Josh Dacos and Chris.
Without stating the obvious, I mean, Nick Haynes.
A couple of time kicks the last couple of days.
Steele has accounted himself well on debut. Mitchell with footy in hand. Josh Dacos forever sniffing out a kick. Works it up to McStay. So no urgency from the Pies, who move the ball in blistering style in that third term. Kicks up for Myercheck to make the contest and the tackle. Elliott swoops through. Nick Dacos works it around. Crisp on the outside is Steele. He can't get his own shot away. He gives it to Elliott for about the 4th time tonight. And Doherty protected him, able to take the intercept mark.
We've got 5 minutes to get a goal for Rose Steele. There's a watch party down at the Stone Cats tonight.
Oh, beautiful.
So they'll all be waiting. And it could come still. Perryman off the left boot. O'Farrell with the fist, with intent. Wiedering gobbles it up. And Akers has the MCG wing to himself.
Gutsy decision to play on, Hutto. There's nothing ahead.
This is all bare ahead. Handball from Evans. Chera to centre half forward. Pretty decent kick as it turned out. He has to turn around. Fantasia put the little step on. And Moyer again. Oh, Moore. You can't relax when Darcy Moore's around anywhere, roughly within his vicinity.
Watch them all get to him. This is what I love about this group.
Yeah. Well, that was just a committed effort to get there when he was out of position. Never looked like he was going to make it to spoil. He just put the head down and went.
It's hard to imagine how you can't score from that, though.
Yeah.
They were out, they were clear, they had one-on-ones. He was open.
Get another chance. Chris wipes that away, although if it goes out, it'll be insufficient.
Go kick, Harry.
So Harry O'Farrell will get an opportunity here to send it deep. Unfortunately, they're right on the job, McStay. He does finally get the kick. Falls short. TDK with a big fly. Hit away directionally by Chris to Mitchell, to Elliott. Again, they know just what to do and when to do it. High ball from Steele, back to the middle of the ground, on the wing. Oh, Carroll decided to try and walk on through. Myercheck made it a dead end. Hollands to Motlop hunting a third goal. He'll need a bit to go right here, and the ball just stays true. It slides through from behind.
He's just the wrong man to try and run through. Brody Myercheck dropped the shoulders in and went bang.
I think he quite enjoyed the side of it coming at him. To a nice round 50-point margin. Maynard. His return has been successful. The plantar fascia kept him out long enough to sign the new contract. He can settle in for the run towards September. Pumps it long up the line. Wiedering has had good reach in this final term. Last of the 90 changes are being made. Collingwood fans start their chant once more. McStay dragged off it by Cripps, holding the ball. So took it out of the ruck, but got dispossessed. The captain sets it up near the hot spot. McGovern had a good fly. Mitchell sure-handed underneath. Maynard and Hoskin Elliott serves wherever needed. Maynard and Quaynor doubles back inside. Josh Dacos dinks the pass forward. It's easy work for Doherty on the turnover. He'll play it for Tacone. Moore again makes the spoil and thwarts Carlton's efforts to add a third goal in this final term. The Pies are goalless in this last stanza for what it's worth, and maybe this is the flow down the field to rectify that. Hoskin Elliott put it out the back for Membry. Myercheck's the lone target inside 50, so just hold up. Let Elliott arrive. Sag it around for Nick Dacos. Still not quite set up ahead, so he buys a bit more time to Mitchell.
They won't want to go goalless in this last term. We've seen desperation at the other end to stop conceding junk time goals to the Blues, but they won't want to go goalless.
Steele's out here on the opposite half-forward flank, just inside the 50. They want to work it across.
Yeah, happy just to milk time. Greenall looking for the right incision. So here it comes in deep. See what they might be able to get in the air. Myercheck is outnumbered. Hoskin Elliott inventive with a kick, but couldn't keep it in the field of play.
So it's Carroll's footy. Back to Wiedering. Can you see a way out here? Can take them the length of the field. Goes to O'Farrell. A real learning experience. The young Calder Cannon recruit tonight.
They have found it difficult most of the night, exiting the defensive area.
Moya can't quite hang on to it there. Push it around a little bit. Kleiner goes back. A little bit more time and space for Josh Dacos to work in. Nick decides to fly, and so he's quite getting the feel for this contested mark stuff. They filter ahead. There's 45 seconds left. Can Collingwood kick a goal in the last quarter? He goes long, up into the pocket. Membry and Myercheck, both displaced. Free kick. Let's go to Brody Myercheck. He'll have the shot maybe just before the siren. Plenty to smile about for Pete and Colleen and friends.
Is there anything he can't do, Nick Dacos? Contested mark overhead. And then he just kicked out in front of Myercheck, gave him the space to work into. He earns the free kick.
Hasn't quite had the kicking boots on tonight with 1 goal, 2. He's got them on now. They get a goal after all in a final term. And the siren will sound right on the bounce. And your final margin will be 56 points.
Just about every player, except for Dan McStay, who had to jog into the middle for the ball up. And Darcy Moore and Will Parker, I think the other two, deep in defence. Every other player got over to Myercheck, got over to Nick Dacos and just celebrated the final goal of the match.
So it's 36 disposals, 13 score involvements for Nick Dacos.
Yeah.
He'll get a few votes.
Probably another 3, Hutto.
If he gets the 10 coaches' votes, he might go to the top of that list as well. It's been the sum of all fears from a Carlton perspective. No mercy on a wounded foe from these Magpies. A 14th win for the season for Collingwood, and on the 4th of July, they are the first team to plant their flag in September. whatever Carlton raised emotionally in that first term, led by 6 points, edged away in the second 24, and then put the Blues to the sword with an 8-goal third term. Played out time for a 56-point win. 17-13, 115 Collingwood over Carlton, 8-11-59. And light rain starts to fall as if to wash the last of the Blues' hope away.
Yeah, they didn't win clearances tonight, the Pies, but that's about the only thing they didn't win. And an incredible efficiency going forward. 30 scores from their 60 inside 50s as we head down to Cameron Mooney.
Well, Wayne, you're just talking about then, you're a bit stuffed up for that one, mate. 6 weeks off, buggered?
Yeah, my match fitness wasn't quite up to scratch, but yeah, look, great win. We knew they were going to come out fighting. To put in a performance like that, both defensively and offensively, we did really well. It's a true credit to our boys. It's a true credit.
You spoke before and you talk about that defence, and you just said that's as good as you've seen for a while.
Yeah, I think we're defending really well. I think we've defended the whole year really well, and I think we're the best defence in the league, and it clearly shows if you keep a team to 59 points and you can also score 115, you're going to win the game most likely. So, yeah, great performance by the lads. Super happy.
What does it mean to beat the old mob?
Yeah. Well, I mean, arch rivals. It's a great game. It's a big game. They've got a lot to play for. Yeah, to come out and play like that the way we did, we're humming at the moment. We've got to keep going though. We've got to keep going.
And the foot come up all right after the few weeks off?
Yeah, I had a fair chunk of footy off. I had about 4 or 5 weeks off, so it was actually a really good opportunity to get the body right, get the mind right, and yeah, came back humming and feeling really good to go forward.
It's been a good few weeks for you, mate. You signed a nice contract, you knock out your mate Jordan to go here training. How are you boys going?
Yeah, that's pretty stiff. I feel so bad for Jordan. It was very avoidable as well. I apologised to him after the training when it was a bit out of it, but yeah, that happens. Very first drill, Jordy's back in the training, gets knocked out, the poor fella. So he's had a bad run, but he'll be back better than ever, and yeah, it's a good one.
Talk about a bad run. Tommy Mitchell, he's come back from a bad run. How good was he tonight?
Yeah, I was getting to him quite often throughout the game. I just think he's in and under. He's such a beast in the contest for us, and his hands are really clean. So yeah, to have him back after over a year out of the game, it's yeah, credit to him, and he did really well to get back out here.
Always run a good thing, mate. Good luck.
Might be a scary thought for opposition teams to hear Braden Maynard say, I think we're defending well. And they've got a real taste for it, a real hunger for defending well. They're going to be a hard defensive unit to break down.
Yeah, so many weapons. Every phase of their game is we've got to look at that transition play in that third term. So they are a slow ball movement team typically, but they really opened the pipes up in that third quarter.
But if you look at every component of it, Jared, it's one thing to have a great system. It's another to have great personnel within that system. And then it's the icing on the cake to be able to execute better than anyone with that personnel in that system. And you summed it up so beautifully early. They do the little things so well. They do everything really, really well. And they push each other. They demand standards of each other. And they want to continually get better. And it comes from the leadership at the top. I mean, the way Craig McRae is adored by his playing group, I think gives you good insight into the culture of that footy club.
You touched before on the way they celebrate. Moons was talking about the way they celebrate the defensive acts, and it does have shades of the Geelong sort of celebrating the assists, and they made a big thing about it, didn't they, way back when? Let's get down to Moons.
Well, Scotty, I just said to you then, I think this is as good as teams I've seen for a while, and you just said, just got to keep going.
Yeah, well, I know it's the old cliche, but it's just got to keep building this competition. There's still a long way to go. So we've put a power of work into this point. Really strong performance tonight against the side that we knew their back was against the wall. We weren't sure what was going to come out. We knew it was going to be fire, but we just had to manage that, and then we felt like we could run away with it.
What I love about this group, Scotty, and it's not made up because you can't do that, but the way that you celebrate each other's success, you celebrate each other, the little things that you do, you all get around each other. It's pretty special.
Yeah, it's definitely a special group. You know, especially tonight, I felt like we celebrated a lot of the defensive acts really well, and the skipper was amazing. I thought across half-back, the amount of guys that he saved, I think a few of the half-backs might owe him a coffee.
What about Tommy Mitchell? You've seen him work extremely hard to get back to this spot. Must be pretty proud of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to see the daily grind he went through, when there wasn't probably much hope for him to get back at all, but he just kept chipping away, stayed extremely positive, and it's amazing the power of the mind. If you stay positive, what can happen, and it was great to see him back out here doing what he does best.
You didn't get the goal tonight, but did you have a celebration sorted?
My son wanted the gritty, but I said to him, I'm not doing that, so that wasn't happening.
See you talk about basketball gritty and talk about Giddy. So he's up the back top there. You had a little bit to do with him since he's been back in town?
No, I haven't seen him since he's been back in town, but hell of a player on the basketball scene for us and represents the country really well.
All right, mate, go and enjoy, brother.
Thanks.
Welcome back, Friday Night Footy on Fox, brought to you by the new Ford Ranger, a hybrid electric for the real world. We've just seen in the real football world the best team in the competition, right?
All right, there we go. Absolutely spot on. The best team in the competition at the moment, the mighty Magpies, 17-13-1-15, taking apart Carlton at 8-11-59. It was the Magpies by 56 points this evening. Carlton putting on 2 goals, 2 in that final term. The Magpies 1 goal 4. Just took the foot off the accelerator B3 and just cruised on home. Did the Magpies? I tell you what, it was a pretty awesome performance, to say the least, especially in that third term when they put on 8 goals 4. That was the Collingwood to come out. As I said, Collingwood hasn't won too many last quarters, but, like as the commentators would say, they had the game in the bag at 3/4 time, so they probably just cruise that final quarter. When the game gets closer, they certainly pick up the pace a little bit more. Fantastic effort by the Magpies. I tell you what, before we wrap this up and head over to the GWS West Coast game, let's just have a look at the goal scorers. And of course, leading out on the field tonight was Daniel McState and Jamie Elliott of Collingwood, both kicking 4 goals. Jamie Elliott kicking 4 goals 3. Could have had a bag full. That's the way. We turned the game on the TV at quarter time, so my dad was thrilled. Absolutely fantastic. The ladder looks good. 2.5 games clear. Absolutely loving that ladder at the moment. Brody Myercheck, Tim Membry ended up with 2. Lockie Sullivan, Ned Long, Hoskin Elliott, Nick Dacos, Jack Crisp, all singles for the Pies. For the Blues, though, Zach Williams with 3, subbed out at 3/4 time. Well, there you go. I think he copped a little whack on the leg. That's why he was taken off. Jesse Motlop with 2. Moya McGovern, Fantasia, singles to the Blues. Leading disposal get around on the ground. Of course, it was the one and only Nick Dacos. 36 touches for this evening, this game. 22 kicks, 14 handballs, 7 marks, 2 tackles, 7 clearances, 1 goal, 2. The only player in the 30s. 8 possessions clear of Carlton. Adam Kehrer on 28. Josh Dacos, 27. Tom Mitchell, fantastic to return to football from him with 26 touches for the Pies. Oh, let's get down to the Collingwood song and then we'll quickly come back to the stats.
It really does show the contrast of the highs and the lows. A team that feels connected, that's efficient with everything that they do, versus a team that is everything but. And there's it's not as if each of them don't work hard, but it's how they all come together, how the constituents and how the elements come together.
No Gatorade, just water. Bit of respect for the young. Oh, Darcy Moore had a couple there ready to go. I'll enjoy this. Good old Collingwood are right where they need to be.
That's right. That's where they need to be. And of course, that's on top of the AFL premiership ladder. 2025, 2.5 games clear. Let's get back to the stats. Braden Maynard, good to see him back after a few weeks off. 21 touches. I tell you what a star, re-signing with the Magpies. Certainly happy Collingwood supporters knowing that he'll be with us for a few more years yet. Lipinski was 17. Charlie Curnow didn't put on any majors tonight, even though he had 18 disposals, 11 kicks. Good old Charlie. There we go. Jamie Elliott set the Pies alight, and the Wave was running after that. 15 disposals 4 goals, 3 for Jamie Elliott. Tell you what, he certainly notched up a few frequent flyers points the way he was flying in that third quarter. All right, there are your player stats. If you want to have a little bit more of a slower look, you can sort of go back and pause it and you'll be able to find on the team stats. It was the Magpies by 40. Inside 50s, there we go. Tightened up a little bit. It was 49 inside 50s to Carlton. 60 inside 50s for the Maggies. There we go. So that was really good. Both teams going pretty good disposal efficiency. Both teams above 70. So that's what we like to see. Free kicks, it wasn't too bad, actually. It was reasonably well umpired, I thought, tonight. Letting the game sort of flow on, just 11 and 14. So not many free kicks given out this evening in today's. In the hit-outs, though, Carlton won that +9. That was the hit-outs. The clearances, well, Carlton again winning +9. It was +4 in the centre clearances and +5 in the stoppage clearances. So they did pretty well, Carlton, in that aspect. Contested possession, the Pies just a little bit tougher there. +18 contested possessions, 117, 135. There's only 18 the difference in uncontested, so not too bad. Turnovers, good to see the Pies going slightly under season average. Carlton just about on average would tick over at 67 against 58. The marks, though, 89, 111, 22 plus to the Magpies, but it was actually good to see both teams getting plenty of opportunity inside their forward 50. Now, whether they kicked it straight or not, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the opportunities that they were presented. And both teams certainly above season average, which is great to see. 13 Carlton, 16 to the Magpies, contested mark. Pies just a fair bit stronger in the contested overhead marks. 22 to 7 plus 15 there. Kamish, how you going? Cheers, brother. Love your work, mate. Good stuff, good stuff. There we go. Just have a look at the tackles now. Of course, the tackle count. The Pies did lift. Carlton, well, this is what they got to put on. They've just got to bring pressure like most teams. If you're not going to bring the pressure and the tackle count, the opposition is just going to tear you apart. You need to put that pressure on and cause those extra turnovers, get the opposition fumbling and double thinking. But Carlton just didn't do that. And of course, as you see, tackle count +14 to the Pies. Importantly, though, if you have a look at this number, 13 tackles inside their forward 50 to the Magpies, 2 to Carlton. I tell you what, Carlton's got a lot of work to do right now. All right, let's now. This should be loaded up. Let me just double check. There it is. There's the ladder. There is the live ladder now. Let me just turn that off for Addy G because he's a Fremantle supporter. And, of course, GWS Giants will go ahead in that game over there. But that's the ladder as it stands at the moment. Collingwood, after playing 16 games, 14 wins, 2 losses. Now, we just have to remember how good of a run and how good the Magpies are going. Opening round, folks, remember, Collingwood were absolutely smashed by the Giants, 104 to 52. People thought Collingwood had its wobbles even after opening round, but they certainly turned that around. Their only other defeat was a close one against Geelong. So, Pies on fire. Ice, ice, baby. Shouty, shouty. You're doing good at this. How you going, Icy? Good to see Icy on YouTube in the house. Icy, you can go for Collingwood. That's a good team. There we go. We're going to convert you to a Collingwood supporter here. So, Icy, well done. Congratulations. Your team won tonight, the Mighty Magpies. There we go. Well, they had a 56-point win over the Carlton Blue Baggers. And, of course, we did have the... I tell you what, we did have the poll in who was going to win. And, of course, a lot of smart people in the live chat here this evening. 73% win for the Magpies. We're going to win this game, and that's exactly what they did. That's certainly what they did. Hey, folks, all right. I think that's about all I've got for this one because we need to jump over and pretty much do the final quarter over there. West Coast taking on the Giants. At the moment over there, it's the GWS Giants. 11-8-74, leading the West Coast Eagles. 5-1-31, 43 points. The Giants ahead. And, of course, Davey Boy 97, go Pies. You better believe it, go Pies. We're big Collingwood supporters here. Look, I think, this is just about in the bag. In the bag this year, providing they stay nice and, well, injury-free. Injury-free. If they stay injury-free, I think the Pies will go all the way this year. after 2023's magnificent grand final victory, I think 2024 was a year Collingwood should have went back to back. Of course, they just had mega injuries, and that should have been their flag as well. But they've certainly come out this year with a lot healthier lineup, and of course managing their play as well. So I think it's this year for it's the year of the Magpie again, Davey boy. I think we're right there. Isn't that right, Icy? We've converted Icy on YouTube over to a Collingwood supporter. We've got Chia out there as a Collingwood supporter. B3 going for the Pies. Addy G, Adrian, Collingwood's his second favourite team. Of course, Fremantle's his favourite, but there we go. We've got Tina is cheering on. Mark's cheering on the Magpies. There we go. Camus, I hope you're a Magpie supporter as well. You just never know. Hopefully, folks, but I tell you what, fantastic game of football tonight, especially if you're a Collingwood supporter. Carlton did give a little bit of a yelp up until half-time, but yeah, look, after half-time, it was the premiership quarter as they know it, the third quarter, and of course, that's where the Magpies certainly opened the, the blue baggers up. They went into surgery, they opened them right up, and they did their work on them, what they needed to do, and then they just cruised home in the last quarter, not doing a great deal, just looking after themselves, not wanting too many injuries, anything like that. I think they came out of it pretty well unscathed, did the Magpie. I think Zach Williams was the only one there this evening for Carlton. Had a little bit of a knock on the leg, but hopefully he'll be right next week for Carlton. I think Carlton next week have the Brisbane Lions, I think someone was saying. Let me just double check that, folks, just let you know who these teams are playing next week. And of course, Carlton next week, they play at Marvel Stadium. That's next Thursday night football. They're taking on the Brisbane Lions, sitting second on the ladder. Well, that's going to be an interesting game. Can Carlton continue on their merry way of, dropping down the ladder, or can they actually show up against the Brisbane Lions? Next week for the mighty Magpies, though, folks, I tell you what, this next week is a game where I won't be surprised if actually the Magpies let this game slip. For the simple reason is they're playing the Gold Coast Suns at People's First Stadium next Friday night. I tell you what, the Gold Coast Suns are extremely hard to beat up there. I remember going up to People's First Stadium, or up to the Gold Coast, and watching Collingwood play the Gold Coast up there. And we had a pretty good side there. That was a few years ago, but the Gold Coast won. So the Gold Coast are always hard to play up there, but this is one game. Look, this is one game next week. I wouldn't be surprised if the Magpies actually let this one slip through their fingers. I won't be disappointed. It's up there. There we go. So don't worry about that. So Carlton taking on Brisbane next Thursday night, and of course Friday night football next week. Collingwood will take on the Gold Coast Suns up there in Queensland, which should be a fantastic, interesting game in itself. Look, I think a lot of the teams, all the way from second to ninth, I think they'll be all cheering on Collingwood next week against the Gold Coast Suns, just because second to ninth, well, it's just so tight. Just a game and a half in it. Anything could happen. Whew. All right, folks. Hey, that's enough of me for this time around. I'm going to get set up and head on over to the next match. So thanks everyone for coming on in. Cheers, Icy, Adrian, Davey Boy, Tina, Chia, Kamish, everyone, B3, Mark, Ryan, you know who you are, everyone. All right, folks, until next time, ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game.